Good morning. I see a couple folks here in the room.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tracy.
Morning, Lori.
Morning, Terry.
Morning, Tracy.
Good morning, Terry.
So, Lori, I think you have video blocked.
There's somebody in here that does not have their video on, correct? What do you mean? We have
It
their.
says the thing when I tried to open the camera, it says you can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
Oh, okay, double check that there, Terry.
I can see Eric, the meme or whatever that is of Eric, but no, still no video, Lori.
Okay, on our side, it's on.
I'm blocked as well.
Everybody, I think everybody but Eric is blocked. Maybe
Right, so,
Eric has
Terry,
the ability.
we just changed it, so I'm asking you guys all right now to try to redo your camera.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Hi, Jan.
Hello.
Morning.
Everybody, as a reminder, if you guys could update the name on your Zoom profile, that'd be great. If you don't know how, it's in the upper right corner, should get 3 dots. I may have given them a different link. That's okay. Only presidents coming in.
Good morning, Michael.
Morning, Terry. How are you?
Good. As I call your name, tell me how you pronounce your last name.
Junta, like a soft J.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wasn't about to chance it.
It's a hard last name.
Good morning, Fred.
Morning, everyone.
Eric's got an emoji today.
An emoji, that's what you call it.
Well, I think they actually call it an avatar, but it's kind of
Oh,
nice to put it up.
avatar.
I gotta get my hair ready, right? I'm working on that. And Fred, I noticed there's no drywall on you, dust anymore. So you get all cleaned up for working on 707.
Yeah, I got home about midnight last night, got all cleaned up. So
Cool. Hey, so we have some Airstream Club members out here visiting us yesterday, another couple visiting us tonight. And the one couple, they were staying out where we met you guys out there at the military base out there at Point Reyes. So yeah, they love that spot out there. So sweet.
Hey, Eric, since before the meeting, I've been getting a bunch of spammy emails from you, but they're not from you. They're from like random email addresses, but they're referencing your name and Alan's name in the email. I don't know if you're getting feedback from other people on that.
welcome to our world.
All right. So it's normal then.
Yeah, hang on a second. Yeah, so I can speak that a little bit. So it's called spear phishing. Phishing spelled as PHISING. And
Yeah.
the accounts are not being hacked. Well, usually. They don't have access to my email, your phone number. It's basically a directed attack to try to get people to give up credentials, send funds back and forth. It's a huge issue. You can't really stop it. And as you know, the only way you just look at the underlying email address underneath it. I was talking to someone the other day about this, and I was talking to Tracy, I think, right? Is that it's amazing how sophisticated it's gotten. And the reason why, as you now, Michael, President, you're listed on various websites. And it used to be a fairly manual process for the fishers to try to understand the org structure and say, hey, Michael, Eric is trying to get a hold of you, right? Which suggests they know our relationship will work together, right? Nowadays, you're using AI
I won't lean on
to
it.
understand the relationships. So it's not a manual task anymore. It's actually to some extent AI driven by some of the more sophisticated ones to actually make more credible messages. They can say, hey, Michael, I'm your daughter, whatever, I know I'm out here. Can you give me a call back? They're incredibly realistic.
Yeah,
One of my
some
side
the
jobs
last
is
one was really good.
they're
Like,
expecting to get better. I was telling Tracy, one of my side jobs is a director at our regional bank. And as one of the senior IT people on the board, we're seeing it in the banking industry, probably no surprise, right? Elder abuse, fraud, money laundering, and the AI bots out there are making it extremely difficult to ensure that if you want to send money to close your escrow, to make sure that it's coming from or going to the right place. So it's pretty scary. Although I love technology, I got to say, walking up and talking to someone is pretty flipping good these days. So, all right, I got to do a couple more things and I'll join you guys in about 2 minutes.
So just as a reminder, everybody that's coming into the meeting, please update your name. If you could please, on the video in the upper right, you should see 3 little dots that you can change your name there. It's helpful to have names there present.
Morning, Millie. Morning, Jenny.
Good morning,
Brad.
Terry.
Hi, Kathy.
Good morning.
You're letting your
Good
hair.
morning, Terry. Good morning, all. Wasn't ignoring
Yes.
you. I'm trying to adjust settings and it takes me forever.
Hi, Millie.
Hi, Lori.
Howdy.
Morning, Gary.
Good morning.
Hey, Kendall.
Hello, Terry.
So when I asked that question about the glove box directory, I meant when you get the app done, can we have the glove box thing in there?
Yes, it'd be the same thing. So the glove box is a directory of all the BRNs, but that was a big part of the app was putting front and center BRN directory. So you can quickly access BRNs and then other things as well.
That's great. What a great idea.
And good morning, Terry.
Hello, Kathy.
Hey, Alan.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Jim.
So again, good morning, everybody. We have a couple of folks in on the meeting that we need to get your names updated. We should only be having region presidents or parliamentarian or CBNL and presidents on camera. I don't know if some links got shared, we may be promoting you to an attendee. Doesn't mean you can't respond or comment.
She's on board for she just pushed it, but they didn't send us anything.
I can tell by that accent, I bet you it's David Golly. That we're hearing.
Morning, John.
Morning.
And good morning, John Holly. Good
morning, Terry. Thank you. A little early for us out here, but hey, I made it just fine. For you too.
Yeah, my biggest fear is I'll sleep through this meeting. It's like a nightmare.
Is that allowed? Sleeping through the meeting?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
Just checking.
Oh, yeah.
Not if you snore.
We've all slept through many meetings.
Oh, God.
I just swung that over there.
Oh, dear.
Yes, I would encourage y'all, unless you're about to speak, just self-mute. Lori, I see your team is cleaning up some of the excess people that need to go back down to attendees. So did you guys know what we used to do when we first started
Can you hear?
post-pandemic, 2 years ago with Zoom, we had everyone on the screen. And the problem was we have like 30 people on the screen, actually probably more than that. And it was really hard to identify the region presidents and exec council because you couldn't really tell who was speaking. And so everyone, all the vice presidents in the regions are invited. They're being moved back over to attendee.
We just need to get the sound on there.
Jenny, you don't have your name on the screen.
I know.
This can be a problem. Every time I do anything on here, it makes sound.
Yeah, move to.
Okay, we're getting there.
In there.
Never join me.
And one more.
You're echoing over.
Morning, Florence.
All right. Great
Terry.
timing. We're at 8 o'clock. It looks like we've got everything cleaned up and on screen, I think. And again, if you could mute if you're not speaking, that'll prevent some of the feedback. It depends on your speakers and blah, blah, blah. So first of all, calling the meeting to order, 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific. And before I start, though, I do just want to extend a welcome, right? It is so cool to see the new faces joining our group. We miss working with the 6 region presidents just rotated out, who are probably, I'm sure, watching the meeting right now, missing being on an IBT meeting. But I just want to verbally welcome, some of the new people that have come on. A little bit later, we're going to be doing a drawing for new big red numbers. As you guys probably all know, as in tradition in Sedalia, we are going to be doing a thank you and a recognition ceremony for all outgoing and incoming region presidents. So first, Michael Genta from Region 1. How's it going there? Bob Ely, Region 3. John Deegan, Region 5. Christopher Olson, Region 7. Tracy Elkins, Region 9. And John Holly, Region 11. So welcome to all of you. And I want to just thank you guys already, as I think you all probably have realized in the last month, there's a lot of work, background work involved in the people that are on this screen right now, and some of the people that have been involved in motion making and the CBL team. And it's a lot of work, and it may be a bit unexpected, but we really appreciate it. And as I hope you all see today, there's been a tremendous amount of work going back and forth. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, others already, to try to work with the motion makers to refine the amendments, get your comments in. Y'all understood the work. Thanks, Gary Russo and your team. And I think we'll see the results of that because you all are much more prepared now than I think we'd ever have been in the past. And I know it's a lot of work. I totally do. And the last thing I want to just recognize is that what I'm just really excited about is that I've talked to probably half of you just randomly, and every one of you has reached out to your members and asked them what they want on the various motions. And that may have happened before, but I think it's happening to a level more than it ever has. And I always tell people in my campfire chats that one of the primary roles of the region presidents on the board is to be the representatives and the advocates for the members. We expect all of you 12 to understand your memberships and bring those to the table. And we all know that we have regional differences, we have historical differences across our clubs, our regions, and we really want you guys to bring that. And that's one of the major reasons you're here, right? Because you actually represent, our 18,000 members directly. So thank you for all the work that you've done. So with that, let's go to roll call. Terry.
Can I interrupt real quick, Eric? I'm sorry. We have both Marcia Howes and Sean Blum. We're trying to get their names updated so we can get them moved over. So they're in process, just FYI.
Thank you. Terry, roll call.
Yes, good morning, President Eric McHenry,
Present.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Present.
I'm here. Finance Director Alan Robb,
I'm here.
EC Member John Becker,
Present.
EC Member Jim Cock,
Present.
EC Member Kathy Giese,
Present.
EC Member Marcia Howes. I'm going to mark her present because she's trying to get in. Is that right, Lori?
Yes, I'm trying to get both her and Sean in.
Okay. EC Member Jenny Schnettler. Jenny was here. Did Jenny? Do we see Jenny? Because she was here. Lori, do you see her somewhere?
Let's just move on and you can
All right.
record the time she comes into the meeting. Thanks.
Okay. EC Member Kendall Felder.
Here.
Past President Mona Watts.
Don't hurt yourself, Kendall. Was that too hard, man? Just be careful out there.
Region 1 President Michael Junta. Is that right, Mike?
Present. Yep, present.
Region 2 President Gary Russo.
Present.
Region 3 President Robert Ely. Do you prefer Bob or Robert? Is he here?
It's Bob, but that's
It's
Jim
Bob.
5 speaking.
Oh, okay. But I don't see him.
He was here. I suspect the shuffling of names caught him, so we'll get him
All right.
on too.
Okay, Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Here.
Region 5 President John Deegan. I also thought I saw him. Okay, not right now. Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Present.
Region 7 President Christopher Olson. Christopher, do you prefer Chris or Christopher?
Chris, please. And I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Region 8 President Rick Everson.
He's having some internet problems, so I'm gonna elevate me, please. Ed
So
O'Connor.
Ed O'Connor is here in place of Rick Everson, and we will make a note of that. Thank you so much, Ed, for being here. Region 9 President Tracy Elkins.
Present.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
Here.
Region 11 President John Hawley.
Present.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom is trying to get in, so we will mark her as such. Parliamentarian Lori Grassi. Lori's here. Thank you, Lori.
Morning, sorry.
Executive Director Lori Tilton.
I'm here.
CBL Chair Brad Briggs. Is Brad with us today?
Present.
Yes, he is. Okay, so what we have is we have Marcia pending. We have.
She just came online.
I'm here.
Okay, Marcia's here. Great, thank you. And we have Bob Ely isn't here at the moment. John Deegan isn't here at the moment. And Sean Bloom, is Sean here yet? Sean Bloom is, and Jenny Schnettler is, I don't know what's going on with Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny's trying to get back in. She just texted me.
Okay, so that's the status of our roll call.
Thanks, Terry. And what we'll do is that we'll kind of progress to the top of the agenda. And then if it's still, we're missing a couple of people, we'll just take a pause, okay? All right, Terry, would you like to introduce the minutes?
Yes, the minutes are in available to you. I do, before we talk about the minutes further, have a couple of corrections, additions, if I may. Where you viewed the electronic votes, I have now added the names and positions of those who have voted. I also, in motion 2024-10, there were last names omitted from the listing, and I have made a note after that motion and added their last names. I've also added the resolution for development of 803 Pike, which was an electronic vote, And the entirety of that resolution has been added. In motion 2024-14, Florence Tremoni seconded that motion, but she was a maker of the motion, so she couldn't do that. So John Becker caught that during the meeting and said he would be a second. So I changed the second from Florence to John. So those are the corrections that I made to the minutes. Are there others that I should be aware of? I feel like I've gone over these with a fine tooth comb.
Just
Thanks, Terry.
one.
So
Oh,
I
there is
have a
one?
correction on page 13. Whoops, now I lost it. Anyway, I'm listed as Region 2 first VP instead of Region 7, just on that one motion.
Got it. Do you remember which motion it was, Chris? And I will.
I'm looking.
Okay.
It is 2024-13.
I will make that correction. Thank you so much for catching that.
Thank you. And I just noticed that this morning, sorry.
thanks, Chris. Thanks, Terry. So without objection, we'll go with the minutes as amended. All right, thanks, Terry.
Mhm.
The next thing, my president's report, just really quick. I already thanked y'all, but I also wanted to remind you guys about our strategy session. So we are going to have some form of a strategy session like we've done for the last 2 years. The thing we have to decide as a group is that if in fact the board makes a change to the fiscal year today, then it probably makes sense to shift the strategy meeting toward the fall. And that's simply because the reason why the strategy meeting originally was in the early spring was because we needed to have time to figure out our shared priorities, which drives often into what we choose to fund and not fund. We wanted to get that strategic discussions happening before the budget was finalized, and that had to happen, June, July. But if we shift the fiscal year to starting equivalent, with the calendar year, it probably also makes sense to shift the strategy meeting. The other nice thing about it, if we go to that, is that we've always had this problem where when we have the strategy meeting in April, May, we know that half of the region presidents are going to be termed out in about 3 months. We've always kind of wondered, how do we accommodate the first VPs, which will have a big stake in the game, right? And so if we shift it to after August 1st, then that means we'll have the full board that just came together in August, and we'll all be together. And so that's the plan. So after we see how today goes, you'll get an update from either Lori or myself on the strategy meeting, where it is, when it is, things like that. I think that was the only thing that I wanted to talk about.
Board member.
Right. Okay, great. All right, so now we get to the fun part also. So this is a tradition that goes back, I don't know how long in our club. And this is the cool thing that we do to try to recognize, some of the work that our volunteers do. And in this case, it's a region president. And so y'all probably know that when you become a region president, you have the opportunity, if you choose to, and some don't, probably about half don't, I would say, in general, to change your big red number to a 200 series. And the neat thing about that is that as you're rolling down the road, it's not because you want people saying, hey, you're the region president, but it lets them know who you are with the 200 number, because it's very unique. So with that in the background, Lori's going to run us through the number selection process for the people that wish to choose. All right, Lori, on to you.
Sorry, we got 18 different things going on right now. So as we're working on this, we will, we are updating or bringing up Susan Bishop for Region 5. She's here for John. Jenny is now in here, and Bobby Lee is still trying to get in. So just FYI on that. So we have 3 members that are wanting to get a new big red number. So we're going to share the screen so you guys can see the numbers that are available. Close that left side. Go down. All right, so So the way this works is I have the 3 names in this bucket. And whoever gets pulled first gets to choose first, and so on and so forth. So we're going to do John Holly. You get the first choice, Mr. Holly.
Well, after much thought about all of this and my charming lucky numbers that guide my life through numerology, I'm thinking I want 216.
All right, 216. So we have Bob and Michael. So 216 is currently off the board.
Off the board.
The next one is Michael. You get to choose.
All right, I'm gonna go lead behind John's statements. My wife's birthday numbers are my leading pick, so I'm gonna go with 283.
All righty, 283. And last is Bob. And it seems like I got an email or something just popped in from him. So I don't think he's made it in Zoom.
I've got him, I'm promoting him.
He's in he is asking for number 229. So Bob Ely will get 229. You want to stop sharing? So as I sent an email to these gentlemen, and so you guys know, a team member will reach out to you, figure out what size numbers you want and all that, and we'll get all that stuff mailed to you. So congratulations for getting your 200 number.
Excellent.
Can you hear me? Am I in? Can somebody hear me?
Yeah, you're in, Bob. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry for the challenges. We had some issues this morning, so welcome. Welcome,
I
actually.
figured it was
Welcome
me.
number 229, actually, is what I should say.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, so we're going to start moving to the agenda, and I am going to ask that. Actually, I'm going to mandate that as we get down into some of the deeper discussions, that we are going to limit it in one half hour for question and answers. That'll kind of keep us on track. If we can't resolve it within a half hour, then we'll figure out what to do next. All right. So next up, Jenny, is Jenny on?
Jenny's
Eric,
on.
John Becker has his hand up.
I just want to let y'all know I'm still here, but Zoom keeps saying that my internet connection is unstable. So most of the time I'll have the video off, but I am still here on audio.
Thanks, John. All right. Is Jenny up?
I'm right here.
All right. Jenny's give an update on the work on 707.
This is a very, very quick update. When we
Hey,
got
Lori, are you going to present some slides?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
We had a unanimous approval to handle the renovation of 707, the new office building, with member-driven volunteers. And it's been an amazing process. I am the project manager for it. I redesigned the floor plan. I've had fantastic support and help, both from the IBT, but also from the region presidents, and they've come and worked. We had visitors. It's just been great. So at this point in the process began in the middle of April. I've been living here at Jackson Center in my trailer all summer long. And so the renovation is coming along really well. This is a few weeks out of date, these numbers, so they're all different. The bottom line is we are rocking this experience. It's been amazing. Today, final trim painting is being done by Tom Price. Boy, it's been exciting to watch a pro do the job. Tom got all of the paint donated by PPG and all the supplies from Sherwin-Williams. So as much as I think I'm doing, standing back and watching him go to it, it's been pretty exciting. The transformation's great. Yesterday, Airstream Inc. came over to the building. They were so shocked that we're doing this. Not that we are doing it, but that we're doing it to the degree that we are. It's wonderful. So they're kind of on board, and they're pretty excited about putting their thumbprint on it alongside of us. And I really don't want to divulge too many wonderful secrets because, of course, there's the reveal, and that's always a lot of fun. We are on budget. We are looking to finish up right after the rally. The carpeting goes in on September 25th. The appliances are delivered in a week and a half. All the vinyl flooring is in the bathrooms and the kitchen. Walls are all being painted. Thank you, Fred and Jim and Tom Moran and John Schnettler and Jeff Dalrymple and of course Tom Price. These guys are the heavy hitters and they have really put in the hours. I hesitate to tell you how many hours I've put in because it's a lot. It's a lot. And we're going for it for you guys. We're doing it to save our members. And I am not exaggerating when I tell you this number today. We have saved you over $200,000 so far in building this project ourselves. And that's an astounding number. But what we hope to deliver to you is a really well-functioning and really embracing office building. So that's a little bit of the update.
Thanks, Jenny. And also, I just have to thank the leadership in this club because if you notice the pictures and notice the names that Jenny mentioned, I think almost all of them are either on the IBT, they're local club presidents, or they're region presidents, right? Or past, right? Or intra-club.
They're all leaders. Every one
And
of
I
them
think
are
it's
leaders.
great to see our leaders, you guys, actually rolling your sleeves up and helping out. So it's a message that we want to send in our club. Thanks, Jenny. All right,
You're
next
welcome.
is a Harvest Host courtesy parking update from Kathy Giese.
And I have to list a complaint. I always follow Jenny, who's just doing such an amazing job, her and Jim, and thank you guys so much. I live, as most of you know, on the West Coast, so it's not practical for me to go there, but it's great. Also, Eric, thank you for saying I have 30 minutes. I can tell you everything I know in life in about 10. So I would like to bring up to speed and welcome again our new region presidents. We started this about a year ago working with Harvest Hosts. We analyzed what it would cost to replicate what they're able to do on their website and do it on the ACI website. And it was going to be well into six figures to do that. So, you know, sometimes you go to the people that are the experts and have them do it for you. Give you just a tiny bit of history on the courtesy parking program. It has been the least used benefit to members because quite honestly, our website was just hard to use. I sat down and did a little bit of an analysis because when you use courtesy parking, you end up, besides meeting wonderful people that are fellow Airstreamers, you also save a significant amount of money. And I had presented this to the EC, and I went in and looked in Washington State now with no hookups, reservations, if you can even get them, with the reservation fees, it's now 35 to 45 a night. Non-residents add an additional $5 to that. So total of 40 to 45. This is already out of date. I got a notice last week that they were raising them another $5 a night. So you're looking at our members. If you use this benefit twice in a year, you've paid for your not only your ACI membership, but probably for your local club membership as well. So anyway, it's pretty cool. So to bring you up to date on where we are right now, a couple of weeks ago, we have about 350 hosts. We suspect that will go up significantly after Sedalia. And the hosts are currently, they filled out the JOT form with all kinds of information, including how many nights they allow member to stay if they have hookups, which they don't. Lovely people like John Hawley, who said, gee, I just have a driveway. I know for a fact that he's the host with the most, so I will be using his driveway in Mesa. So we cover the spectrum of people that live on big properties. I am actually going to be storing my trailer for a week while I visit the kids in Kansas City before I roll into Sedalia, again, using courtesy parking, and wonderful host on that one. So anyway, we're pretty darn excited about it. So the members, the host members now have filled out the JOT form, giving all their information. They're now up in the process of uploading the photography, you know, showing where you're going to put your trailer, which I think was one of the biggest drawbacks. People were worried about using it. What if I get there and there's low hanging branches? You know, I don't know where I'm going to put my baby, you know? So I think it's going to be really, really helpful to have all that information. Our last meeting, we're meeting every other week. Eric and Lori have been also meeting to act as my memory and help me out as we work through this. but the last dates we were given was the hosts will have their login September 16th or 17th. They'll be able to go in and futz with their listing a little bit, make sure the pictures look right, make sure the text is okay. And then within a few days after that, every single member of current member of ACI will be able to go in and build their own profile and start using the program, whether they're a host or not a host. So by Sedalia, we should be up and going. And speaking of Sedalia, we're going to have a Harvest Host booth there, and we're going to have it staffed by volunteers who can answer any questions about courtesy parking, about being a host, that sort of thing. Harvest Host will also have a staff member there to answer any questions for those people that want to join. And again, this is a no charge benefit to every single current ACI member. They don't have to pay any fee to join Harvest Host. If they're already a Harvest Host member, when they open up their map, they'll see both the courtesy parking locations and the Harvest Host locations. So it's going to be just, I think, a fabulous new benefit for our members. So, and I think that's about it. Eric, do you or Lori have anything you need to add to that?
If it's a great work, Kathy. Again, you guys have no idea how much work Kathy puts into it. I don't think I do either. So thank you. Either you could, JD, just very briefly mention the plans to use the Harvest Host courtesy parking for headquarters, Jackson Center, please. That was a cool idea.
I'd be grateful for that opportunity. What we're doing is creating a small miniature pad out here for parking, and there will be electric and water. And rather than having the reservation and payment system, which will be a nominal fee, of course, it's only for members, we will be using the Harvest Host courtesy parking feature, where that manages the receipt of the payment and the reservation process. So kind of taking care, it's kind of neat that this happened because we need to use it too. So I think it's going to be a real good marriage.
How many spots did you and Jim Cock figure out there between the grass?
12. 12, yeah. That almost cost us nothing to put in right now. So that's sort of exciting. I hope to have those plans drawn for you within the next, well, by the time we get to Sedalia. I'm a little wrapped up right now in another project you might have heard about. But we'll show you what we have in mind. And it's one of these duh moments, because why didn't we think of it earlier, to really take advantage of this. Sneak preview, I did present a little bit of this information to some friends I have at Higher Levels Incorporated. I'm not going to say where that is. And they thought, wow, now that is a great pilot program to find out, do we really want to go further? So I love this. This is all kind of flowing together.
It's going to be a great benefit for our members who are traveling to Jackson Center. They can actually just park for free, behind probably 10-ish spots for very, very little investment on our side. So Jim Cock, I know you're one of the brains behind this. So thank you. Thank you, Jenny. All right. Any other questions before we move on?
Eric, are we free to talk about phase 2 yet?
No, let's not just yet.
Okay.
Other than the board knows about it, we're trying to look at the next level of benefit with Harvest Host around providing boondocking options specifically for club members. We're going to be looking to do a pilot rollout. I should have more information on those details soon, but that's going to be really, really cool. It's in line with our strategies of providing more unique camping benefits that are aligned with boondocking, special events, wineries, distilleries, stuff like that. So it's pretty exciting. But I'll give you guys updated later. Thank you. All right. Any other questions before we move on to Executive Director's report? All right, Lori, you're on.
All right, thanks, Eric. Just a couple quick updates. My report I put August, is in the pack, but we've had 143 joins in the last 17 days. So that puts us up to 9,773 memberships as of this morning. So if you guys just can think about the volume that's coming through. So if you see that new member, please welcome them to the club and say thanks for being here. The other thing
say that again, because I don't think I absorbed that. You got how many joins in how long?
143 in the last 17 days.
So a little more than 10 per day.
Yep. We're doing great here. Don't worry. We're fine. We're fine. Fine. Especially when the power went out yesterday, but that's another story. We're all good. So I also wanted to point out that we have our 17th new member benefit just came on board, and I'm showing you guys the member only section. Again, when people ask about what members, what's in it for them, this is the page we want you to go to. It has everybody listed. On this page, it shows what kind of discounts we have. So our newest edition is the Vintage Camper Trailer Magazine. So they just came on board with us. So members will be able to get a 20 to 50% subscription discount, 20% off their classified advertisements, and some free shipping out of their camp store. So we're excited to bring them on, especially we believe the VAC will be excited about this because they do have some Trailer Fest rallies. I think I'm saying that right, for those vintage folks. So extremely happy to partner with them. And then the other thing I want to share with you guys is we are 44 days away from Sedalia. Again, we're fine here. Things are just fine. I need to thank our rally committee. They are amazing. I think most of you guys know the structure. There's 3 staff members, which we're short a staff member right now. So there's 2 staff members and we have 4 members, which is Eric, when he doesn't have his president's hat on, he's our rally rival team chair, Debbie Wood, Wayne Clark, and Bob Hoffman. And these guys are just amazing. We could not do this without them. I am guessing that Debbie and Wayne are probably putting in 40 to 50 hours a week right now to help pull this up. Oh, I see Jim saying more, 60? We may be 60? I don't know, but if you guys can imagine welcoming over 1,300 trailers into Sedalia, there's a lot of moving pieces. So again, thank you, thank you. I want to make sure you guys are paying attention to the website. I'm going to flip over there, as you guys know, and again, share with your members. This is where all the information is happening. I don't want to misspeak because I think I did last week, but our new app, Huba, will be launching, I think, next week. Again, sorry, Debbie and Wayne, if I'm misspeaking, but we outgrew Groupio from the years past. We're too big for them, so now we're going there. The other thing I want to point out to everybody is we've also partnered with Customize It. So here you'll see on the page that we now have rally gear available. It's on our website. There's a link, and then you can get to Customize It, and they have our logo there. And some of these items you can even customize it one step further and put your big red number. So we're partnering with Customize It, and we'll have more things coming for the club as well. So that is my update to my reports.
Thank you, Lori. Terry?
Lori, of the new members that you've received, which is dramatic in the past 17 days, can you tell us approximately how many are Explorer members?
Not right now. I will at the end of the month. At the end of the month is when we do a breakdown of whether how they came into the club.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And also in your report, you mentioned that obviously Minot and it's locked in now. Rock Springs close to it, and then 2028 east of the Mississippi still.
Yeah.
Oh, right. We're talking about it. Right. Good. Excellent. Ohio, maybe.
Oh, look, Debbie's announcement, Huba announcement Monday, August 26th. There we go. Thank you, Debbie Wood, for keeping me on track of information. Back to 2028, we are, the rally committee was here working on Sedalia. Why we had that opportunity, we visited Mercer County, which is about 45 minutes from Jackson Center here in Ohio. So they have been doing a ton of development, and we're hoping that is our location, and we'll know more here in the spring. They're expanding their camping, they've updated their buildings, they've done just a ton of stuff. So we're excited that if we can do something here in Ohio, that's one of my personal goals, to where we're 45 minutes from Jackson Center, it would just be fantastic. So
Airstream Inc., I assume we do some more with them. They'd be a heavier involvement with the factory there and the tours and stuff and the mothership. Yeah, nice job.
Yeah.
I see
Jenny?
board member. I think that's Jenny.
Hi. Yes, I just wanted to point out, especially to our new members, welcome, by the way, is that the rally team is juggling 5 rallies simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. So we're good.
All right, thank you, Lori. Thanks all. Okay, so by the way, just in about 45 minutes or so, we'll take a comfort break. Next, we're going to go to the financial update. Alan, you've been doing nothing this last couple of weeks. Do you want to lead us through this? Right. Alan has been incredibly busy. Probably half the people on this thing have spoken with Alan. So in the last couple of weeks or months. So thank you. We're really fortunate, seriously, Alan, to have you on board, both with your ability to put the time in and also the background and insight you provide. It's just night and day from what we've been able to bring. That's one of the things where structure matters sometimes and people. All right, Alan.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. First, let me offer an apology for missing your May meeting. I was on a plane on the way back from Alaska, so that's why I couldn't join. So I appreciate being with y'all for the first time in this new interim capacity y'all have got me in. Lori, would you like for me just to share my screen, given I've got a couple things to talk about today?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll do that. All right. Can y'all see that okay?
Minimize.
No?
I need to minimize that screen.
Share. Oh, I got to click the share button. All right. Can you all see that okay? Yes?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, let me find, we're talking about results now. So I'm gonna pull up my PowerPoint deck here. So I'm gonna show that instead. There's one small change in here from John Becker. So I wanted to make sure I showed that. So all right, here's the financial update, forward-looking statements. Basically what this means, folks, is I'm going to be talking about, this is the actual results for the end of this year, but as we move into next year, 2025, I'll talk about where I think things are going to come out, and those are all estimates. Okay, so at this point, things I say are going to be final because we're talking about end of 24, but as we move forward, there'll be forecasts. That's all that says. I'm gonna go through our three financial statements. I've added a new one as well that you'll see is a little bit of a surprise. And then what we were not able to get to because I was in the plane in May was I want to give you a brief update on the finance committee. All right, so here's the results. Now, as you recall, for the new region presidents may not know this, but we replanned the year when I first came on board, Lori and I, and we cut out about $136,000 of both income and expense. The reason we did that was I didn't think the budget for this year was as realistic as it should have been, so we replanned it. That's this column 3 right here, the revised plan. So what I told y'all, or y'all saw in May, and what we planned as a revised plan was to lose $45,000 at the club level and lose $52,000 when you take into account international rally and caravan and depreciation as well. So what this green box here represents is where did we come in? So year to date, Q4, 100% on the title, 100% of the year is elapsed. You can see we planned 954,000 of income. We took in 949, no variance. So we actually hit our number. Now I think that's fantastic. So 9,630 members, we hit our number. If you look at the expenses over here, headquarters, we were over a little bit because of building maintenance, utilities, equipment, taxes. We're up about 50 grand. So that's the reason for this variance here. A lot of that has to do with the second building that we didn't have in the initial plan. The general club expenses we hit within $400. So not a bad deal at all. Publications, we were a little short on publications. And then our travel, we were 21% below on our travel. And as you know, I've mentioned to you all before that I think that we tend to overplan our travel. And so this year, as you know, going into 25, all the regions have planned what I call zero based. You've planned all your activities and what you're going to spend. So we're in, but you look at it from an expense standpoint, I don't think you get much closer than this. We hit it within $800. So we hit our plan that we told you about. We lost 48,000 last year. And then on the bottom line, we lost 80 grand. Now, the reason we lost $80,000 is I planned about an $18,000 profit for caravan. We lost 8. I've already spoken to Ray Combs. We're going to change. And Marcia's been involved as well. We're going to increase our headquarters chargeback from the caravans over to headquarters to account for the amount of time the headquarters is actually spending. We've actually done, again, a zero-based budget on that by work activity, by position. And so that should right this loss right here. Okay, so that's where we came out from an income statement standpoint. Balance sheet, the change versus Q3 down here in the corner is about 78,000. So not a lot changed in the balance sheet. As you can see, our checking accounts, we've got about $750,000 worth of cash. And that's largely because of international rally money that's come in. Prepaid dues, that's what this $949,000 is the liability for the rally. And nothing else has really changed in here. So I should note here that Sean Bloom and Lori have engaged on a balance sheet project to make sure our balance sheet is appropriately stated. And so we've spent a lot of time, not we, Sean and Lori have spent a lot of time on that. And I think we're making significant progress in understanding our balance sheet, which is a great thing. So cash flow, here's the ad for John Becker. PPD, it stands for prepaid. That's just my abbreviation for prepaid. So prepaid dues and expenses, again, all rally related. These are expenses that we have on our balance sheet now that we're going to have to pay to the rally, for different rally activities. And then the prepaid dues are the rallies. So about $1 million of cash at the end of the period. So not bad. But again, 949 of that million is related to rally. So there's not much cash outside of that because the preponderance of our dues, we have about 9,600 members, almost 6,000 of those were new after the first of the year. So towards the end of this fiscal year, we're getting a little short on cash. All right, so a new schedule I've created. As you recall, in the last meeting, y'all approved a motion. Chris Kirk presented it, and here's the motion to create 3 new reserves. An operational reserve at about 250, and here's the contribution goals. The technology reserve about 300, and an infrastructure reserve of 200. So that's what y'all approved. What I've done is created a little spreadsheet here. We've got $200,000 in CDs now. So in order to establish the seed money for those reserves, here's our goals up here that I just showed you in that other chart. We have 202,420 in CDs. I simply allocated that 202,420 by the percentage of the operational reserve to total, technology to total, and capital to total. Here's that allocation. So this is the seed money to start these reserves. And then as we move through 2025, these lines here will show deposits and withdrawals from those with reserves. When we go through the 2025 budget, there's a request from Kendall to spend $20,000 on an app. Well, if we have 2 ways to fund that. We can fund that out of the cash of the club, or we can take $20,000 out of this technology reserve, give him the 20 grand. He can go fund his app. And then as we do our contribution goals during the year, you'll see deposits. And so you'll see an ending balance. Right now, everybody's at 27% of total. And then you can see the amount remaining and you get to the goal. So I'll share this with you every quarter, just so you know how we're doing on reserves and able to keep up on it. So that's where we are on our reserves right now. Okay, this is a busy chart. Finance committee. So I didn't get a chance to go through this with you before. Members of the finance committee. So there's me, I'm Region 3. I had a lot of experience in CPG, consumer products goods company. I've been on the finance committee for about 2 years, but new in this finance director role. Craig Fegley out of Region 9. He's a retired JP Morgan executive, a lot of banking experience. Christine Kirk, Region 11. She's a retired chief accounting officer. She's been with me on the finance committee for about 2 years. Sean Bloom, who's our Region 12 president, and she's CFO for Joel Gott Winery. She's new to the team. Jim Cock, new to the team, but he's Region 3. He's been on FinCom for about 6 months. And Millie, about 6 months with us as well from Region 9. So we have as needed. Now, there's been past treasurers that haven't scheduled meetings. There's been some that have scheduled them weekly. And the way I work is as we need them, we schedule them. About once a month, we'll have updates in terms of the project because we've farmed out a lot of projects to the finance committee. Right now in the projects, there's currently 33 projects in the pipeline. We've got a list of them. So we're not shy of things that we need to go do. Most all of these are working collaboratively with Lori, and some with the IBT as necessary. We've closed 20 of them, okay? So there's been some low-hanging fruit. So it's a total of 53 projects, 20 have been closed. You can see the ones that have been closed here. I don't need to read those to you. So we've made some progress. Active big projects right now. Christine Kirk and Lori Grassi are working on a project to be able to look at our insurance policies to make sure that we've got proper coverage and we've got the best rates. Membership reporting, Christine Kirk. We just need to get this across the finish line to get new membership reporting out that is maybe a little bit more clear than what we're seeing now. Replanning the back 5 months of this year, if we approve the fiscal motion that we're going to talk about next, to be able to move that to a calendar year, you've still got to plan the back 5 months of this year. So that has been done, and I'll share that with you. Balance sheet deep dive I just mentioned, and then Craig is looking at the payment banking process and fees. And so those are the active projects now. So that's it for That's it for the finance update. Are there any questions?
Alan, can you just, okay, Gary, you first. I have another question for Alan.
Yeah, Gary.
Alan, if you could go back, I believe it was page 7 of your presentation. Okay, you're talking about the cash reserve for the technology.
Yes.
Has there been multiple quotes for that? Or are we just outsourcing to one review?
For Kendall, for his $20,000 for the apps?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Kendall, are you there? Can you answer that question?
Yeah, no, Gary. So what I put together was I put together a state of work document, and I sent it out to about 10 different companies to get bids on the job. It's a very detailed statement of work, so everybody's on the same sheet of music when they replied with their bids.
So Kendall, are you the only one that had a set of eyes on that, or who else was on that committee?
I was not. It was reviewed by Lori looked at it, Eric looked at it, and Mark looked at it.
Mark Neidham is the chair of our international of our information technology standing committee.
And Mark provided a lot of input on what needed to go in the statement of work.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we had multiple quotes, and then so that we're able to compare apples to apples.
Yeah,
correct. And that's why we did statement of work, to make sure that everybody was doing apples to apples.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, if y'all want it, I'm sure Kendall will send that SOW to you, by the way. So
yes,
coordinate in the background, and more eyes on it, the better. So thanks, Gary. Good question. Thanks, Kendall. Florence.
Hi, Alan.
Hey.
One of the things that was listed as closed finance committee projects was training of IBT. How is that a financial matter?
What we did in the strategy meeting in March, putting together the, training, what is an income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow, and then where the club's finances had been, that's what was initially put on there. I mean, that'll be ongoing. We won't spend, I don't think, 4 hours on it again, like we did in March, because I think we've made substantial progress on a lot of things. But I would suspect it's up to Eric or whoever the next IBT president is to what we do for the strategy meeting, whether you want to still do finance training or not. So that's what that's about.
How quickly we forget. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Florence. John, and then Michael.
Alan, if I heard you correctly in your report, the caravan income that's coming into the office, you said, I think you made the statement because of the increased workload of staff. Are you saying that would supplement their salaries? Or are you saying that this would be something that would help pay off the bank fees that we discussed?
Yeah, no, neither one. So if I said increased workload of staff, I misspoke. It's not about increased workload. It's we did an analysis, Lori and I, trying to figure out how much of the staff's time is being spent dedicated to caravan processing. And when we looked at that by work activity and by position, we came up with a cost. And that cost exceeded what the caravan contribution is currently to the headquarters budget. So we're going to, Ray Combs and I have looked at that. We've talked about it with his team, and we're going to look at an additional payment being made from the caravans to headquarters to be able to compensate for the time that the headquarters staff is spending.
Okay, thanks.
Michael.
Alan, good to see you. Thanks for your time last week. We had a great chat. You outlined completed projects and ongoing projects. What about the next round? Where do you see as a list of the next ones that you're going to tackle? Do you have those already pre-done or kind of already lined out?
I've got a list by priority that I can send out to the group if you like, but for the next 20, there's a fair number of them on there. So I can send that out. So I don't bog down this group with that right now. So I can
Sure. The other thing was when you and I were chatting last week, we discussed that on some of the caravans, they're refunding back money when the caravan is closed. Did you and Ray come to a settle on that of maybe not doing that at all?
No, we did not. He and I are sitting down at a rally in the Outer Banks in about 2 weeks, and we'll sit down and chat, have a more comprehensive conversation. But no, we did not.
All right, fair enough.
Thanks, Michael. One last thing, Alan, can you just quickly just give the board just a quick update on how we view HQ headcount and how we burden the self-funding events like caravans and IR, please, just so people kind of know this funny FTE sharing back and forth.
Yeah, so think about it this way, that in many corporations, let me just do it from a corporation standpoint, many corporations that have a headquarters office and then regions throughout the world, the headquarters office is in essence a zero-based organization. So they charge out those region for services. So for example, I work for a company that had a centralized global tax function, and they represented global tax for all the regions around the world. And the services that they provided, they charged those services back out to the regions for those services. So their net cost was zero. So it's the same concept here. As Lori's staff of 5 or 6 people, I think she's got 5 now, 1 open. It costs a certain amount of money to be able to employ that staff. It also costs a certain amount of money to for overhead, utilities, taxes, et cetera, so on. And so when you look at all that and add it up, it's a number. And her staff, as they provide support to the International Rally and to Caravan, we're going to charge a portion of those costs back out to International Rally and Caravan for those services. So, because the International Rally generates a little bit of income every year, and so does the Caravan. And so we are going to charge those services out from headquarters to Caravan International Rally, and you'll see those as income line items on our budgets.
Thanks, Alan. Just so you guys know, this has been going on for a long time at our club. This is not new, but they're doing a better job now of understanding the charge out amounts and stuff. And I call it equitable because, as we know, was it roughly 13% of our members attend an international rally. So it wouldn't be fair to burden the other 87% of our members with the HQ costs to support a rally. Same thing for Caravan. So it's a nice way of, you got this service, you pay for this help, and it's like, okay, great. Thanks, Alan. Any other questions for Alan before we move on the agenda? Okay, again, thank you so much. And just a reminder to the board, if you have questions, it's a lot of information. Ask Alan, if not here. I know a lot of you did beforehand, but it's crucial that y'all understand where we are with our budget and kind of where we're doing and what our objectives are. Okay, do we have any member comment? We're on section 8.0. Member comment on non-agenda items and correspondence to the IBT. Do we have any of that for this meeting?
No, Eric, we have not received any here at HQ.
Okay, great. And this, by the way, so you know, is that we want to make sure that any member comment, they can contribute in this meeting. And so there's a number of ways through email, a web link, and probably another one too. And same thing for just general comments. And this is the spot where we will read that to the board and make sure the board understands what comments we've had from members. Okay, so no comments, good. Okay, all right, breathe. Our next section of items are what we call consent items, and we have 2 items in the consent budget. The first is item 9.1. There's a financial policies from RAB, and the second one is item 9.2, financial policies also from RAB. And so what happens is that I'm going to ask you all shortly that unless there's an objection, we will consider both the consent items together. If there is an objection, no problem. We'll just pull that one out of consent and we'll take it as a normal item. Does that make sense? Okay. And so first of all, so without consent, does the board move to adopt policy item 9.1 and 9.2? Is there a consent? Is there an objection?
I object.
Great. Thanks, Tracy. And to which one?
Motion 2024-21.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll take 2024-21 and we'll bring it out of consent and we'll take it right after we finish the consent items. Okay, make sense? All right, thanks, Tracy. And by the way, as you guys can probably tell, we don't make decisions behind doors, but it's really helpful. And thank you, Tracy. I had a long talk yesterday. I know you had a long talk with your clubs. If you do have an issue with a consent item, it's nice if we know ahead of time so we can plan to pull it out. So thanks, Tracy, for all the work you did on this one. All right, so without objection, motion 2024.22 RAB financial policies is adopted. All right, thank you. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to new business, item 10.0. And so the first item on 10.0 will be the one we moved out of consent. So it'll be 2024-21 RAB financial policies. Alan, would you introduce the motion, please?
Okay, I've never done this before, so if I screw something up, tell
Just
me.
read the motion. I move that.
I move that. Okay, I move that bylaws article 16, financial management, be amended by deleting section 3, renumbering the remaining sections, and modifying the remaining section to reflect current practices as stated in Exhibit 1.
Okay, and do we have I know it's from a committee, but I'm still going to ask for a second. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, thank you. And Lori Grassi can give me that look, so we'll sort that a little bit later. It looks like, I can tell by her smile. All right, so without objection, motion 2024.21 moves as forward. Do I have an objection? Tracy?
Objection.
All right, thank you. All right, so do I have a second to the objection? And basically this says we want to consider Tracy's objection. So do I have a second to the objection?
I'll second that, Eric.
All right, thanks, Melly. All right, Tracy, can you just give an update on what your proposed amendments are and your rationale behind it?
Yes, so I propose to amend the section related to the financial management of current practices by striking section 3 in its entirety and replacing it with language that gives approval of the charity for international rallies done by approval of the IBT, and it states the current criteria for choosing a charity.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we need to restate the actual exact text now that you're proposing changing. And Alan, you're gonna weigh in on this one also, since you're the original motion maker.
Shall I give you the suggested language? Okay, so I propose that we modify subsection 3 so that it would read charitable donations during the international rally. The International Rally Committee may donate to a charity in the host community. The community will choose one charity that has a significant and enduring impact on the local community where the rally takes place. The executive director will update the IBT with the charity selection and request their approval. And number 2, adding a policy that describes the decision process. So the new policy as amended would read, Policy 16.3.1, approval of the charity for the international rally from Article XVI bylaws. The executive director will update the IBT on the charity selection for the international rally and arrange for an electronic vote of the IBT for approval. The voting ballot will be open for 48 hours and passed by a simple majority of the votes cast. So let me give you a little brief explanation so you guys know the concern here. We had a number of Region 9 members that felt like we needed to make sure that there was a voice of the membership when making a selection for the international charity, because in partnering with a charity in for an international rally, that kind of becomes the face of Airstream club in that particular community. So they wanted to make sure that the membership were providing a vote. And so that's why we as advocates here at the region level, as we sit on the IBT, would offer to give a electronic vote on that. So hopefully this is not misconstrued, that the intent is just to have the IBT give a vote on the charity selected for those rallies.
Thanks, Tracy. Before I acknowledge the other hands up, Alan, as a motion maker, do you have any comments or questions you want to ask Tracy?
Nope, I spoke. Nope, I'm good. I'm aligned with what she read.
Thank you. Okay, Millie and then Jenny for discussion now.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Tracy. I think I understand your concerns, or your Region 9 members' concerns up to this point with the executive director handling the IR with the rally committee. Don't you feel that Lori and the current president are representative of the club? I mean, they're gonna make sure that the charity isn't, you know, Joe Bob needs a new dog. So far, our charities have been pretty spectacular. Did they have a problem with the previous charity or something? I'm not sure why this is necessary. Help me
Millie, I'm
understand.
not aware of any problems that they had with previous charities selected. I think that just in reviewing the language, that they felt that it would be prudent to have a vote of the IBT on the selected charity, and that because it becomes so representative of the Airstream Club in the community that we're having the rally, make sure that there is a broader, a broader decision-making process than just the rally committee.
Well, the other thing, Tracy, is that, as I understand it, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, your community that we're going into, so hypothetically, we're going into Minot in a couple of years, and the Minot folks come to you and they say, we have a cancer charity, a children's cancer charity, some amazing thing that they've decided would be the best use of our funds. They bring it to you. They're not bringing you 7 charities. They're bringing you one and saying, this is what we would really love your support with. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically, Millie, these conversations start when we're looking at a venue, because we want to learn about the community. And again, just like Wally did, we want to make a lasting impact like we did in Rock Springs. So we start talking to the venue, and then they connect us with the community leaders, and we really talk to all of them to say, what is your need? And so as we just have these discussions over these couple of years, they pointed out, just like Rock Springs, I didn't know that the biggest void in Rock Springs was diapers. I mean, I wouldn't have known that. So when we learned of that, that's when the rally committee worked with them, say, okay, what can we do to help that? So yes, the community gives us direction. Some communities have a higher need in just one area versus 2. So that's kind of how this thing starts to evolve as the group, the committee makes the decision on who we want to support.
So as I see it, it wouldn't make sense to me to have the IBT vote on something where it's only one option. You're making a decision based on what the community decided. We're not picking between subject A and subject B. I don't want to see us bogged down in unnecessary work or complicating you and the IR team's work.
Yeah, so again, it's the committee of 7 or 8 that discuss. And yes, if we only have one option that seems viable, there's no decision to be made. That's who we're going to work with. If we do have several to debate over or think about, I mean, we do our research, right? We check Gold Star, we look at their history to see if they're a suitable nonprofit, things of that nature. I mean, we do go to that length. And then if there's questions, if us as in the committee can't make a decision, then I'll go to the EC and say, hey, we're struggling. What are your guys' thoughts? Here's the background.
Okay, so I guess I'm obviously just figured just leave it the way it is. Thank you.
Thanks, Millie. Ginny?
And hi, Tracy. Great to see your face. I see both sides of this, and yet I also think there's a couple factors. One is that members are very much represented on the rally team. The rally team is more members than staff. So the other thing is they've gone out and taken a look at this, and I have a lot of faith and trust that they spoke to these people. They vetted what they thought would be appropriate for the use of our funds as a club. So bringing this back to the IBT, not a single one of us has gone out there. We haven't spoken to these people. So why are we the ones that would vote on it when we have no direct firsthand knowledge of the need of the community that they're going into? I feel that that's a bit of a presumptive attitude from my point of view, is that, wait a minute, these guys went out there. Why am I going to be the one that makes the decision when I have no direct knowledge of it? So I think I would not necessarily support that we would want to insist that the IBT vote on it. Certainly an approval that, yes, we would support this unless there was some really unusual thing. But that's why we have a rally team. They're doing this work. And I trust that they're doing it with the best interests in heart of our club. They are our club. So I don't like the division that, well, we want the club to say it. They're the club. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny. Any other comments from the board, region presidents or exec council on this? We need some thoughts from y'all because we're going to need to vote on the proposed amendment shortly. Okay, any other comments, Tracy, before we take this to a vote, the amended text? And so, by the way, the process works is that y'all are going to be asked to vote on the proposed amendment, Tracy's proposed amendment. If you vote yes, then that's the answer. If you vote no, then we go back to the original one and vote on that one. Is Lori Grassi nodding her head on that? Okay, excellent. All right, so this is now, so without objection, 2024-21 as proposed amended by Tracy Elkins is approved.
I object.
I object.
Okay, we have an objection. So now we do a roll call on the amendment, on the Elkins amendment. And then so Terry, where are you? Okay, roll call vote.
I'm right here, but who objected to the amendment, please? There were several people who spoke.
Terry, that was Millie.
Okay.
Jenny.
Okay.
So Donald.
I just need one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
All right, ready for the vote? Region 10 president, can I just use people's names, please, since we all know who we are? Is that okay with you? Florence. Yes. Do you want me to give up the whole thing, Eric?
Please, region number 2, please.
All right, I will do that. Thank you. Region 10, President Florence Tremoni.
Yes.
You're voting in favor of the amendment.
Correct.
Okay. Region 9, President Tracy Elkin.
Yes.
Region 8, President. So is, did Rick ever make it, or are we doing Ed O'Connor?
You're doing Ed O'Connor. I vote
And
no.
All right. Thank you, Ed. EC member Jenny Schnettler.
No.
Region 6, President Jan Hevener.
No.
EC member John Becker.
Yes.
I vote no. Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
No.
EC member Jim Cock.
No.
Region 2 President Gary Russo.
Yes.
Region 11 President John Hawley.
No.
EC member Marcia Howes.
No.
EC member Kendall Felder.
No.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Yes.
EC member Kathy Giese.
No.
Region 1 President Michael Junta.
No.
Region 7 President, oh, I'm forgetting. I'm so sorry. I wrote the wrong name down here. Who's the Region 7 President now? I'm sorry.
Chris Olson. It's
Oh,
not
Chris.
Ginger. And I vote no.
Thank you so much. Past President Mona Watts.
No.
Region 3 President Bob Ely.
No.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
No.
And Region 5, Susan Bishop is sitting in for John Deegan.
No.
The amendment fails.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go back to the original 224.21 unamended. Without objection, the motion passes. All right, so 224.21 passes as originally done. So one thing I do want to offer though, so thank you, Tracy.
You bet.
I think what I heard though from the board is while they voted no on the putting into the bylaws and policy, there is an interest in getting more visibility, I think, from the board before the decision is made. And so I'll work with Lori and the team, the International Rally Planning team, to make sure that when we get close to identifying a charity, that would let you all know, give you a chance to give your comments on it. Because I think what she's saying, and I understand it as well, is that when we go into a community, this is the thing that the external people often view us through, right? And so I want to make sure the whole board is supportive of that. So anyway, I'll work on that offline. We'll make sure y'all get a chance to hear what we're thinking about doing and give some of your comments, but it won't be a formal vote. All right, Tracy, thank you so much for bringing us to the table.
Thank you.
All righty, let's take a break. So it's 8 minutes after the hours right now. And so let's come back at 20 minutes after let's come back in 10 minutes. So 9:18 Pacific. All right. And we're going to start right at 9:18 p.m. So be quick, but be sure to wash your hands anyway. All right. Thank you.
Just. Leave everything.
Hey, Terry,
Yes.
Gary Russo.
Hey,
I have
Gary.
a hard stop at 1:45 on my end,
What time zone are you in?
Eastern.
All right, thank you very much. Will somebody from your region fill in if we're not done?
I don't have anybody that's available.
Okay, so 1:45. So right now it's
12:10.
12:10. Okay, thank you, Gary.
Okay.
Chris, are you there?
Terry,
Yes.
I just got a note from Matt Moore. He is telling me he is online. I did not see him.
Okay.
So
if
I'm going to
you-
talk to him
Okay.
and tell him my position on a number of things.
All right, very good. So
And
maybe
he'll
we're
be
done, but if
anything
not, we
after
can-
about 1:45, he'll be taking over on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dawn, do you need us?
Well, when we all get back, Lori, thank you. I just wanted to make a quick announcement. Or not really announcement. I just wanted to say something when we got back.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sean, is your hand up for, or do you want to be acknowledged?
I do, but when everyone gets back, I just have a really, really quick comment to make.
Okay.
Sorry, Eric.
Hello, bud.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to the Region 12 rally. And as you probably heard, my wife is going to tow up ahead of time, and I will come up after a day or so to meet you all up there. So make sure she doesn't do anything that, well, I don't know, that's impossible. But anyway, it'll be fun.
Well, I'm hoping she does.
Yeah, yes, right.
Which I have a question for you on that, but we'll do that after the IBT.
So by the way, as we're filing in, Sean, Region 12 president, her region rally is coming up. And so how many rigs and how fast did you sell out?
Oh gosh, fast, like in 20 minutes. I mean, I don't think as fast as Region 10, but we were right behind it. And we have 150 trailers in South Lake Tahoe. And, you know, like all rallies, we're in the final throes of it, and there are always curveballs, but it's all good.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And also she's working with the new dealership opening in Reno. And so, you know, part of the thing that we've been talking about as a group is getting tighter connection with the regions and the dealership at the executive and the sales level. And so great job. I guess you guys are going to be joining them for their opening ceremony at some point down the road or something like that.
Somewhere down the road, but they are hosting a table at our Silver Soiree, our happy hour on Friday night. So that'll be fun.
Awesome. All right, we're going to start in 1 minute.
Eric, are you going to want me to call roll again?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
So I always tell some people this story. So Laverne and I, by the way, love to have club members visit us, as I was mentioning to Fred a while ago. And we had a couple join us 2 nights ago, just coming through the area. We had dinner with them, did a little walk around the lake. I wanted them to walk up this big hill, but whatever. And then today, another couple from Texas is coming to join us for the evening also. So Tracy, Shauna and Gil are going to come by today, actually, from Region 9. So they're always a hoot. So it's always fun. It's an open invitation. If any of you are all coming to the area, let us know. We love to connect with our members regardless of leadership or not. It's just really a joy. All right. It's at 9:18. Terry, if you could call roll call, please.
Certainly. Eric, you're there. Vice President Millie O'Donnell. Is Millie back? Not yet. I'm here. Finance Director Alan Robb.
I'm here.
EC Member John Becker.
Present from the Southwest Adventure Caravan.
Ooh, cool. EC Member Jim Cock.
Yes.
EC member Kathy Giese,
Present.
EC member Marcia House,
Here.
EC member Jenny Schindler,
Present.
EC member Kendall Felder,
Present.
past president.
Sorry,
Mona-
Terry. I'm back.
Thanks, Millie. Past president Mona Watts.
Presence from somewhere in Quebec.
Oh my. Okay. Region 1 President Michael Junta.
Present.
Region 2 President Gary Russo. Is Gary with us? If anybody sees him come, please let me know.
He's here. Gary's here. He's muted right now, though.
Oh, there he is. I see him on the screen. Region 3 President Bob Ely.
Here.
One sec. Noah. Sorry. Thank you. My grandson's visiting. Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Present.
Region 5 for President Deegan, Susan Bishop.
Present.
Region 6 President Jan Heavener.
Here.
Region 7 President Chris Olson.
Here.
Region 8 for Rick Everson, Ed O'Connor.
I'm here.
Region 9 President Tracy Elkins.
Present.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni.
Present.
Region 11 President John Hawley.
Present.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
Present.
Parliamentarian Lori Grassi.
I'm here.
Executive Director Lori Tilton.
Here.
CBL Chair Brad Briggs.
Here.
Okay, I've got Gary here and Millie's here, so everybody's back, Eric.
Sean, you had a thing you wanted to mention ahead of time?
Just quickly, I just wanted to call out a few people on that last motion we did. Alan, Lori, and Brad, you all bailed me out because you wrote that motion. I was a total dork. I didn't know how to do it. And as you can tell, there was a lot of text and red line and cleanup. So I should have said it before we took the break, but a huge thank you to all of you because it wouldn't have gotten done without you. And thank you.
Thanks, Sean. And it's a reminder for any of you, and most of you have not had the joy of writing motions. It's not your area of expertise, but we're really fortunate to have Brad come out of semi-retirement to be CBL chair and Lori Grassi, and they will work with you to get your ideas in the format that is necessary to come to the board. So thanks, Brad. Thanks, Lori Grassi. All right. Item 10.1 fiscal year. Alan, as I understand it, you want to give a presentation first and you go into your motion. Is that accurate?
I don't have to give the presentation. I can if
Your
it
call.
was in the pre-read materials.
Up to you. You choose.
Yeah, let's just go straight to the motion for sake of time.
Read your motion, please. I move that.
Okay. I move that policy 16.6.1 financial management subsection G amend the WBCCI fiscal year beginning on January 1st as stated in Exhibit 1. What this means, I'll just give a little bit of texture, moving the fiscal year from currently from August 1st to July 31st to a calendar year to be, the new fiscal year would be, if you approve it, would be concurrent with a calendar year, January 1 to December 31.
Thanks, Alan. Lori Grassi, before I screw this up again, is there a second required out of finance committee?
Second is not required. Terry just notes for the minutes that it's introduced by the finance committee.
Great. All right. So no motion, no second required. The background and impact, Alan.
Background and impact. All right, the background management of many of the club's financial details become overly complicated and inefficient for management reporting and communication with the current fiscal year. The impact of this change will require a one-time planning of two budgets to implement a budget from August 1st, 24 to December 31st, 24, and an additional budget from 1/1/25 to 12/31/25. These partial budgets have already been established in anticipation of approval of this motion. There is no financial impact.
Okay, great. Any discussion or comments? All right, without objection, the motion passes as written. All right, so passed. Thank you very much, Alan. Okay, let's go to 10.2. This is consent, right? All right, so dues increase motion. Alan, again, do you wish to do a presentation first or go straight into dues increase? Your call.
I think on this one, I'm going to do the presentation first because I know this is an emotional topic. I've spoken to many of you, which I appreciate, but let me go through the presentation so we're all grounded on the same data to be able to have the conversation. So I'll move through this relatively quick because many of you, if you would have read the pre-read, have already seen this. And all right, so the objective of the international dues is to take a dues increase to offset what's happened in terms of our increasing costs and inflation over the last 3 to 4 years. I'm going to skip this chart. So this is a recap of this is a recap of where we have been from a financial standpoint. ACI is the club, International Rally, and Caravan. Before depreciation down to the EBITDA line, as is what I shared with you earlier, that we lost $55,000 for this last fiscal year. The forecast and that planning I just talked about in the previous motion is for us to lose about $26,000 in the back 5 months of this year. With no dues increase and with the assumption that we make money in International Rally and Caravan, we just slightly break even, $34,000 just ahead of break even with a dues increase. And this is only $34,000 of reserve contribution with a dues increase at the $99 level, which is what's in the motion we'll talk about $150,000 of profit for the club, which will allow us a robust reserve contribution. What I put in here is one of the concerns that I had was that there could be an impact if taking dues up. In this case, the proposal is $24, that we could have members leave the club. I've made an assumption in my presentation that members would leave the club. What this graph simply does is a statistical analysis from 1989 through 2022 that shows the green line when we've taken dues increases, that there has been no statistically significant change in our membership because of dues increases. One thing we had talked about is what's happened to the expenses and income over the last year. And you can see, since 2021, when the last dues went in, we've been about $200,000 in expenses and only up about $30,000 in these categories on income. In total, our expenses have grown at about 262,000, income's grown at 182. And one thing Gary Russo asked I put together is where does a member's dues go? And so this chart is a new chart that I have created. The top 2 bubbles or top 2 circles up here are on a percentage basis. The bottom 2 circles are on a dollar basis. It's the exact same data that feeds both of these. So our income for the club is about $96 is about how much we take in income right now. It's not just member dues, but we've got Blue Beret income and merchandise income. There's other things that contribute to our income. Our expenses are about $105. $63 of those 105 are headquarters office, $11 is publications, and et cetera, and so on. One question that was asked was, with this new building, the mortgage is roughly $45,000 a year. That's got to be the cause of why we're spending more than we're taking in. If you isolated the impact of the mortgage, it's about $4 per member is what it is. And it's in this headquarters number. So although we've got a gap here of about $10, the new mortgage on the building is only about $4 of that differential. So it's not the mortgage that's creating our imbalance in expenses versus income. I've shared this deck with you all, obviously, in the pre-read. This is a chart of historical dues starting back in 1989. Every yellow bar shows when a dues increase was taken. And then over here on the far right is if you were to adjust the dues that we're taking in by inflation, this is effectively what would happen with a dues adjusted inflation number. So for example, in 2021, we took a $75 increase and we should have taken up to $80 or higher in order to cover our expenses at the $80 level. That's making the assumption that $75 appropriately covered our expenses. The proposal is at $99, which gets us slightly ahead of the inflation adjusted number for about 3 years. And I think gets us in a pretty good spot. Attrition wise, what I've done here is a graph. And what this simply tells you is we've got 9,630 members, as Lori said. Every year, historically, we lose about 15% of our members through death, or through people selling their Airstream or just leaving the club. I assumed that we would just recapture what we lost. Now, this past year, we grew our membership 5%. So we lost our members that left the club, but then the new members we took in were 5% higher than what we lost. I assume conservatively that we just recapture what we lost. If you take a dues increase at these different levels here, okay?
Let me turn it.
I need to stop and pee. Do you want an ice cream cone?
No, because I've got the cheese and crackers to eat. I don't mind stopping for
Sorry,
ice
can
cream.
you mute that person?
Yeah, we're getting it.
Okay,
Sorry,
so you assume attrition. Let's just assume for a minute you move to $99 and you lose 25% of your members, which is a very aggressive assumption. You would still break even. The green are break even points with attrition. So all that being said, then in attrition, if you do lose part of your members at any of these dues increase levels, if you lose more than 15% of your members at the $90 level, then the dues increase was a bad idea. Okay, so that's all this chart simply tells you. Banking fees, I'm going to skip because this is really about dues increases. So I'm going to skip the banking fees. So, well, let me go through banking fees real quick. Sorry, let me back that up. So banking fees is a substantial part of our expenses right now. Part of this motion that I'm proposing is not only to increase dues, but charge back members for banking fees. So, and the banking fees right now, everybody thinks, well, it's only 3%. Well, it's not 3%. It's actually more than that. So right now, on this far left column, if member dues are $75 and you join one club, okay, that's $95. Your bank fees are about $3 on that. That's an effective rate of 4% because what we pass back to the clubs is the full $20. We don't actually burden the clubs with a banking fee when we give them their revenue back when somebody renews. If you move to where somebody, let's go to the right, far extreme, let's assume that somebody belongs to 5 clubs. They renew their membership. They belong to 5 clubs. They belong to 4 intra-clubs. That's a $265 dues renewal they pay. Bank fees are $8, so the effective rate's about 12%. So again, because we don't pass back, in this example, $190 back to the clubs or the intra-clubs. So the banking fees right now across the club are about $150,000 a year. It's about $40,000 for the club for renewals, about $50,000 for international rally, and about $40,000 or $50,000 for caravan. So it's almost $150,000. So again, what the motion says is we'd like to actually charge back. We'd actually like to increase the dues from $95 to $99, or $75 to $99, and charge back the banking fees in a 2-step process. The dues increase would be with the renewal of the 2025 membership year, which starts September 3rd. And then the second step would be on January 1st of 26. There would be 2 rates, one for using a credit card and one for using, if you just choose to use an electronic check or a ACH, which is simply a withdrawal out of your checking account. There are very small fees for something like that. And then the one last thing I'll give you for consideration, I put this in the talking points I mailed to all y'all. What, some other membership dues, what other organizations have done. You can read this. Netflix, as an example, has gone from $12 10 years ago to $22. So they've effectively doubled. Harvest Host has doubled over the last 5 years as well. And then here's the last thing I'll give you before we go through dues. When I know there's been a lot of emotion about it being $24. So I thought I'd put together something fun and said, what will $24 buy you today? Okay, here's a list of things that you can spend $24 on. $24, I don't think is the end of the world, but y'all are going to decide that when we go through the motion. So, all right, Eric, that's it for my presentation. Now I can read the motion if that's what you'd like for me to do.
Before you read the motion, I would see if there's any comments or questions from the board on.
Eric, actually have him read the motion before questions.
Okay, Alan, if you could read the motion, please.
Okay, I move to amend policy 4.12.2, international dues, to increase the annual dues from $75 to $99, effective at the start of the January 1st, 2025 dues cycle, and to recalculate the annuity tables to coincide with the dues increase. I further move that effective January 1st, 26, a convenience fee equal to the credit card processing fee for dues be charged back to members at the club, and that the club absorb bank draft ACH electronic check fees, and to revise policy 4.12.3 lifetime membership section B to account for membership anniversary renewal dates as stated in Exhibit 1.
Okay, no second is required because it's from a committee. If you could please read the purpose, impact, and background. And if you have any amendments to this, now would be a good time to introduce those before we start questions. and
Okay,
comments.
I'll
Can
read
I
the
offer
purpose.
an amendment, Eric?
Hang on a second.
Yeah, let me read the purpose, impact, and background, and then Sean will go to your amendment. So the purpose and impact, as allowed by the WBCCI Constitution, Article 10, Revenue and Dues, the Board of Trustees shall fix and determine the amount of the International Annual Club membership dues levied and collected from members. This motion aims to bring the yearly dues in line with inflation. The impact of this motion is to keep the club fiscally sound with a dues increase. Additionally, a convenience fee will impact members who choose to pay their dues by credit card. The background, it's okay, I'm not going to read the background, Eric, unless you want me to. It's all the financial numbers that were in the schedule I just shared with you.
No, I just, Terry, if you could record that he waived reading of the background, please.
The financial impact, the club's financial impact, assuming a 15%, it's actually 12, so that should be modified, a 15% attrition rate, and keeping our assumptions on membership growth as flat year over year, will be approximately $86,536 for 2025, for the calendar year 2025, in the motion that y'all just approved to move to calendar year.
Okay, so everyone pause for a second. I need to ask Lori Grassi something. So we have some proposed amendments that we can consider friendly amendments, and we also have questions and discussion. Which way do you want to go first, Lori?
If I don't have those amendments, so if you know the order of them or this, what seems logical to go first. If you don't, then just start with the order they are and we'll just work.
We're going to do this first. So Sean, not just she's on the finance committee, but she's worked with Alan on proposed amendments. I think it's good to introduce those now before we start talking about them. So Sean, if you could introduce your thoughts of your amendment, please.
And the amendment is simple. It merely just cleans up some of the language. We have US funds many times throughout that motion, and so we're striking that. And then we'll replace.
Sean, you actually need to read the amendment. That one we do.
Yeah, second, Lori. Let me let her just talk it through first, and then we'll have her read it. Okay. I think it gets kind of detailed. So can you continue your verbal?
And then the last big change is just there's a lot of will and shall, so we're just cleaning up that language. So let me read the amendment. Number one, we're going to strike US funds and the proposed changes to policy 4.12.2, international dues, subsection E1. E1 will be amended to read international dues for renewing members shall be $99 per membership year. Members at large will also pay the current IBT established fee, $15 through headquarters in place of local club dues. And number two, striking the word will and replacing it with the word shall in policy 4.12.2, international dues, subsection E2. Subsection E2 will be amended to now read, international dues for new members shall be $99 for their membership year. The date they join WBCCI will become the anniversary date for the payment of the following year's membership. A 30-day grace period will exist for non-payment. And number three, striking the word will and replacing it with the word shall, and also adding a new sentence that reads, members at large shall also pay the current IBT established fee, $15 through headquarters in place of local club dues in policy 4.12.2, international dues, subsection E3. New section E3 as amended would read, international dues for new members at large shall be $99 for their membership year. Members at large shall also pay the current IBT established fee, $15 through headquarters in place of local club dues. The date they join WBCCI will become the anniversary date for the payment of the following year's membership. A 30-day grace period will exist for non-payment.
Okay, thanks.
Explanatory statement is I propose this amendment to remove unnecessary reference to US funds as it is redundant and to be consistent in terminology with the use of shall in place of will, and to be specific that all members will pay the same dues amount whether joining a local club or renewing.
Thanks, Sean. And so, by the way, the Roberts can get quite confusing. I'm going to try to navigate through it so y'all understand how it's going on, right? So Sean has a proposed amendment. Alan, as a motion maker, do you consider that a friendly amendment and you want to move forward with that as amended, proposed amended?
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll go to questions and discussion. And then before we vote, we will restate whatever we end up with. Okay, so we're not voting yet. Don't worry about it. So now questions for Alan or on it. Tracy and then Jenny.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you so much. So obviously, like many, I went out to the membership to get some input on this, and we had a good response. But the question was raised is if we have to do this in 2025, or if we would be willing to push it out a year so that members better understand the financials for the club and why this is necessary. Is that something that could be considered as a push out for a year?
You know, you can certainly consider it. What I'd tell you is we've been losing money on the club for the last 2 or 3 years. And at this point, we haven't touched the remaining $200,000 of CDs. When I went through the balance sheet information, it showed you how much cash we had on hand and how much was related to the rally. We are cash strapped right now. It's not that it's not going to recover, but we towards the end of a year when we don't have members renewing, at the rate that we do in January and February, the cash starts to get thin. So likely we would have to dip into at least one of those CDs, the $100,000 CD, in order to be able to have funds to sustain the club for the next year. Just because, like I said, we lost, what, $55,000 this past year. We're forecasted to lose $28,000 in the downhill. It's almost $100,000 just in the last 15 months or 17 months. So you can push it out, but I think you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to have trouble protecting those CDs.
So Tracy and the rest of the team, as we go through the question, so we finish the questions, y'all have the opportunity to propose an amendment to it. So, but let's get through the questions and discussion first, and we'll kind of see if there's objection to adopting. And if there is, we'll do it like we did in the last one. Jenny and then John.
These tend to be really emotional issues, I feel, for a lot of people. They stand on, it's the principle of the thing, and it gets easily lost that it is really just dinner for two at Waffle House. It is, paid for in one courtesy parking visit. And I feel that it's really important we do pass this because we want to sustain the financial health of this club. You can argue, well, these people will be upset. If we're not careful, we don't have a club to be upset about. And I would really hate to see something like that happen where we became desperate. I would say pass it now. It's not going to be easier to pass it in a year. I'll tell you that. We're going to be at the same impasse that, maybe we should split it into 2 years. That doesn't really address the problem. And the issue for us as an IBT is to address the problem. It is to make these tough decisions and manage the administration of our club. We're doing it very transparently. There's nothing unseemly about what we're doing. It's unfortunately pretty much out of our hands due to all this inflation. So I would recommend, it's tough, and it's real tough to go back to our members and say, I voted to support this club by moving it forward. But that's exactly what I'm going to be doing.
Thank you. And by the way, we're going to try to keep this at 30 minutes of Q&A. Normally that's a lot, but this is an important topic. Okay, so John, Michael.
This is an emotional issue. I arranged a meeting with Alan to come in and talk to my vice presidents and all my presidents. And we had an hour discussion, and he ran through everything beautifully, explaining everything just as he did with the IBT when we were all together. And all the presidents went back to their members and discussed it. And unfortunately, it's overwhelmingly no on the $24 from the members. And but they said that they would agree to a lower amount. They understand the needs of the club, and they would go up to a possible $15, but not $24. no big difference. I don't quite understand, as Jenny just pointed out, the need for it and so forth, but that is their opinion. And also, the second issue is the ACH checks, and this is something that quite a few of the members, we discussed this with the presidents, are not going to divulge their bank number or their routing number. They don't want that to be public. And because of the hacking that's going on with various things that's happened in the past, they don't know if it's going to be secure, even though all the banks say it is. Haha. Well, so the I would suggest, and I don't know how to, it'd have to be another motion, I guess, that we not do the ACH and we just charge the clubs the fees that go back to the members pay the fees on top of the club dues. And that way we'll get everybody involved. It means that the clubs would have to vote to have their dues increased by the percentage or by $3 or $4 or whatever it is over what they charge, which is either $10 would go to 13, 20 would go to 24. But that was the strong impression I got from all the presidents, that not only would they go to a $15, but not the 24, and also that they don't want to do the ACH, but if they would agree to an increase for members paying back what would be the overage for bank fees for the club dues. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Michael and Gary.
All right, I'm gonna bring a little humor to this. I am an engineer, so this is not emotional. It's a numbers thing for me. In discussing this with my membership in Region 1, the $99 is a little bit of a bridge too far. Alan and I have had numerous conversations, a couple. One was very lengthy. I plowed through all the club financials and what Alan's provided to me, which was very good. And I compared them to my business model, my particular business. And I think that the issue primarily is that we need to get more aggressive on a line by line of where the spending is and how to reduce that spending in numerous areas. I outlined with Alan several that I think could be very viable. As a Region 1 president, I will not be taking money from the club for my travels on the region. That's something I'm going to personally do for myself. Eric, I think you mentioned something similar for yourself. I think there's other areas. There's a long list of them, actually. I think what we should do is propose a compromise, meet in the middle on this subject. I think the membership can get behind that. I'm proposing that we have a dues increase to $85. That'll buy us some time to right the club a little bit, get us back into more of an even keel, and buy time to go through the line by line and go out for competitive bids in some of these situations and try to reduce costs down. That's my idea.
Michael, and we're going to collect all the comments and we'll kind of give it back to Alan and see where he wants to go with Gary and then Chris.
Okay, Michael took some of the thunder that I was going to be talking about. In essence, I've had multiple conversations with not only the members, but a couple of the presidents within my region, and they've all come back to the same thing. They are more than willing to pay a convenience fee. They're used to, say, for example, going to the pizza place and having to pay a convenience fee. So they don't have any problem with that aspect. The others aspect was that FMCA, their rate was thrown in my face multiple times. They're charging right now $60 a year, and out of that 60, $10 the first year is for processing, and then after that it's $50 a year. And if you watch their website, they also have occasionally a break where it's $40. So I've got that. The other comment that I had is the feeling is that we're paying for our past sins, that people are upset about that a lot of the finances were not transparent and we're now paying for these past sins. I floated out the 85% of the $85. It appears that would be a stopgap because that would allow us more time to do exactly what Michael is recommending, that we could go through the line items and do a more competitive bid on a number of these topics. And it will give us time to, as I said, to reduce these line items. So that's the feedback I'm getting from my region, and they're quite upset about it.
Thanks, Gary. Chris, and then Sean.
Okay, well, the members of Region 7 are in a 2-to-1 margin in favor of an increase up to $100. So that's what I'll say about that. But my question is for Alan and the team, why would you not specify US funds? Because we have Canadian members that are renewing. Don't they have to renew in US funds? And why would that not be specified?
Alan, why don't you touch on that one just quickly?
Yeah, I don't know how to, so I'm gonna ask Sean to touch on that one. So
Actually,
I can answer
Lori,
that question.
Lori,
if
can you
like.
handle that? I can.
oh, there's Brad. Yeah, Brad can answer that.
So it states further up in the section that we only accept US funds. So down and where we're taking it out is a redundancy and inconsistency with the rest of the section. So it's there. No policy change.
Okay, did that address the question?
No, because I don't see it higher up. Where should I be looking?
It's in the actual document. It might not appear on that motion form.
Oh, okay. So it's not on the motion, but it's in the actual document.
It's
Correct.
in the original motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That was unclear to me, but if that doesn't answer your question, Chris, ask again, because you okay?
No, I'm good now. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Sean and then Jan.
So I was at a rally this past weekend and dues was the huge topic of conversation. And we're jaded in California. We pay so much for everything. No one seemed to really question the $99, but most members don't understand all of the benefits that come with being a member. And so maybe that's something that all of us can think about. Can we get ahead of this and just remind our members? I get what you said, Lori, about let's point them back to the website, but maybe if we call out a couple of things. When I started talking about courtesy parking that will be launched in September, people were really excited about that. And if they understood some of the discounts, whether it's KOA or Michelin or something like that, I think when you start to put dollars and cents to some of those items, people all of a sudden feel like, wow, $99 is nothing. So our fault, we're not good at going to websites, or I'll just say myself, we're not good at going to websites, but maybe we think about some sort of communication and Blue Beret or something that just gets ahead of it. So that's it.
Let me just show you guys something that will be done. This is an example, by the way. And whatever the board does, regardless, our members, I agree, don't know where international dues are for. They just don't, right? So regardless of increase or not, this is the thing I'm just sharing you. This is an example. We haven't done it for us yet. Things like this to talk about, where do my fees go? This is a kind of a very general language type of a thing, right? For a volleyball group, which I kind of thought was really cool. The other example of organizations who do this, and again, remember, I have a lot of background in the public sector, is that it looks like, share a different one. I think regardless, we do something like this. One of the two, right? This is another example from a union that shows sort of, hey, where do my dues go? And so this will happen regardless. I think this for me and Lori and Alan, this was the idea like, oh my gosh, we really do need to do this because, as you know, I talked to a lot of members and they have absolutely no idea what happens in headquarters until or if they go there. All right, so that I just want to let you know, Sean, that communication will go out shortly. It'll probably be out in the next president's message in about 3 days or whatever the September 1st is. Okay, Jan and then Florence.
Headed. Okay. I just wanted to mention that in our region, we're Southern. We have a lot of people that are older. And when you start talking money and their own fixed incomes, they just kind of, they're alarmed at first. But then when they think if $99 if you go to McDonald's and get a double quarter pounder cheese, it's going to cost you the same amount of money as what this increase. But I also know that we're also talking about the bank fees. The bank fees are absolutely wicked. And what we pay these companies for us to use the convenience of a card. And in our region, we hadn't even mentioned it. We just charge it back to our people. They never complain. They pay it. They go on. We're using Cheddar Up. It's an average of about, I guess, 5% if you add the fee plus how much they charge. So right there, that's a lot of money that if we put that money back on these people, maybe only go to $90 right now, we would still come out ahead. And then later on, after a period of time, after buying buildings and knew this, that, and the other, we could go back and address this and maybe get closer to what we need. But it's just a thought. It's just a timing thing with me. I'm okay with the $99, but I also listen to my people and they just, they just don't know. But it's a great club. There's so much to offer. So many people out here. I mean, our friends, look at all these people right here and the people that are watching at home. And that's worth $99 to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Florence and Millie.
My region's local club presidents also didn't really raise an eyebrow to the proposed increase. But what I'd like to ask is if Alan could dig up the chart he showed on the different levels of increase versus inflation. And if we want to go to a lower dollar amount, we're cutting ourselves off at the knees because we're just going to have to do this again sooner. So I'd like Alan to maybe say that better than I just did.
No, I think you said it well, Florence. I hear everything all y'all are saying. And Michael and I have talked about the $85 and looking at the expenses, which is what we're doing as an example on the insurance policy. The insurance costs us 35 grand a year. Will the committee come back with a recommendation that'll save us 2,000 or 3,000? Maybe they will. And I think when you look through all the other items in the budget, it's a matter of time to be able to rip in all that stuff. I mean, I'm not doing this full time. And B, I don't think you're going to see the dollars falling out of the sky like you think you are, because I think Lori and her team have been pretty responsible. Like she just moved over from Dropbox to OneDrive to save money. We moved the emails over too. I know the emails are expensive, but to the $85 point, look right here in 2022, the inflation adjusted number was $86. So the $85, it still puts you 2 to 3 years behind. I was going to share this chart with you as well. So this is one of my favorite charts. Back to 2017, all the way through the 5-month period, and then the 2025 calendar year. This is what's happened on the club after depreciation. We've lost money every single year. And then you down here at International Rallies bailed us out. Okay. And the caravan hasn't really helped at all because basically over this period of time, it's been relatively net neutral, right? $5,200 in the hole. And then when you look at it bottom line, when you include everything, you got a lot of red down there. And so I don't know that $85 is going to be enough to get you to where you need to be, given this chart over here that Florence was just talking about. So I don't know if I said that more clunky or not, but that's kind of my point of view. So.
Well, and just quickly in closing, we did a messaging campaign for the finance director election that was highly successful, and the turnout proves that. I think we can do a messaging campaign again after this board passes this today. And once people understand the why and the timing and the forward lookingness of this, we don't have to come back to this issue for handful of years.
Thanks, Florence. Millie?
Thank you, Eric. Alan, I have to say, it's the tell me you're a nerd without telling me you're a nerd. You just said you have a favorite chart. I love that. This whole thing is a really emotional subject. Our money, and I'm one of those people Jan was talking about. I'm an old lady on a fixed income. So I can squeeze a nickel till the buffalo farts. I'm looking at, I clip coupons, I evaluate my budget every year. I want to keep airstreaming. If it means I'm eating beans this week instead of steak, I'm okay with that because this club's important to me. The suggestion to do a smaller number and revisit it later, or to hold off and revisit it later, like Alan said, is only going to shoot us in the foot. We're going to end up with a bigger debt and a bigger problem. We need to get the money in the bank. We need to spend it now, and we will benefit in the end. I'm in full support of this. I've got friends who are for and against it. We've had some big discussions around the campfire, but at the end of the day, it's going to be what's best for the club. And I'm all in favor of it. Thank you for your work on everything, by the way.
Jim?
Yeah, thanks. I want to say two things. The first one is, if we make this a two-step increase, then we get to be displeasing our members twice in a shorter time period. That's not a great thing. The other is, I mean, I understand we need to work to the will of our members. But if our members tell us to go and hold a 1-iron up in a lightning storm because it's going to be the right thing to do, we're not going to do it. If our members tell us, no, keep rowing, it's where you're going the right direction, and it's not the right direction, we are the leaders of this club. We're responsible, and we're responsible for not letting this club go into the red. And yet here we are. Sure, there's that argument about past sins, but no, we've been doing dues increases. We have not ever established a good dues cycle. That's on us, sure. We need to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. And I'll have one comment before we go to voting. We have a couple of member comments. Alan, can you put those two slides up again? One that shows inflation, one that shows your favorite slide, please. So one of the nice things about having a strong finance function now, and why it was part of our strategic objective to do that, the other one first, please, inflation, is that we actually now have data. And so when our members say it's sins of the past, you can just look at this chart right here. There is absolutely nothing in this chart that talks about how we choose to prioritize our project. This is simply an inflation. And so I think that's one thing that you can tell your members regardless how we go. The next chart, Alan, shows to what Jim was saying, is that we really wanted to have a strong finance function because we've been running in the red as a club since 2018, if not earlier. This is not a new thing. What's new is that we have the team that can bring this information and data as opposed to emotions to the board, and then you guys get to decide, right? But this is, I think it might be my favorite side also, Alan, because it's actual real data. It's not assumption, it's not emotions, it's not the cup of a coffee. It is a reality that our club has had a problem for at least back to 2018 that we've not addressed. So I just want to share with you guys this as you talk to the members, because it is kind of confusing. All right, thanks for the screen sharing. So now I have a couple comments from members, and thank you for the members that this is through the chat. I'm going to read these because not everyone can see the chat. The first question comes from Gail Harrer, and this may have been addressed already, Alan. This is kind of for you. Her comment is that the dues increase is $99 is because of the building purchase that has been made. The regular income and expenses for the club has risen in line with the increase in membership. You could address that if you have an answer for that. I think you may have.
So if you look at the building costs us about $46,000 a year on a per member basis. It's about $4 from that chart I shared earlier. So the building is not the cause of the lack of profitability for the club. It is a contributor, but it's not the cause. And for 2023/4, we lost $74,000. I'm sorry, $80,000. The building was $36,000 of that 80. So if we had not purchased the building, you still would have been in the whole 50 grand, roughly, rough numbers, $45,000 to $50,000.
The next one is probably more an observation than a comment, but it comes from Jerry Caleros up in Region 10. If the increase in membership fees is explained properly, membership should be okay with keeping their club solvent and financially healthy. Okay, observation. Thanks, Jerry. And another one from Gail. Will the banking fees that you're going to charge people for payments apply to caravan payments made through headquarters? Great question.
Yeah, and talking to Ray Combs, it's something he's considering. Ray hasn't come to a final decision. So that's again something I'll be rallying with him in 2 weeks, and we'll sit down and talk about that. But that's Ray and the caravan and Marcia and their CFO. That's their decision and sits with them. But that is something that's on his radar screen to consider. And I think he's strongly considering it, but he hasn't made a decision yet.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Gail. Thanks, Jerry. One last question. Looks like Terry, then we'll go to see where we are on the voting on this. Terry?
So Alan, I'm a little confused about what you just said. So Ray is considering having the caravan participants pay the credit card fee as opposed to headquarters absorbing it?
Yes, the answer is yes.
That's just ridiculous. I mean,
I'm not sure. Let me interrupt. I got a message from Ray that he was supportive. He couldn't be here today to comment, but he was supportive of taking both actions necessary. He was just trying to work out the details, was the way I understood it.
Let's probably let Ray weigh in on this.
Yeah,
that's good. Thank you.
All right. So Ray's great. He's, as John Becker knows, the job of leading a caravan is ridiculously challenging. So, and the money that flows through our caravan is crazy, which is good. All right, so we're going to start with basically, without objection, the motion 2024.24 dues increase with the amendment introduced by Sean Blom. Without objection passes. Is there an objection?
Objection.
Okay, objection, John Hawley. Okay, so we're gonna do a roll call vote. And this roll call vote is to adopt the motion as written and amended by basically $99.
Has the amendment passed?
No.
The amendment was accepted as friendly.
Okay, accepted as friendly. Okay, so we don't need to vote on the amendment. Okay, thank you, just for clarity. All right, roll call. Past President Mona Watts. Okay, she's got her thumbs up and is saying yes. I vote yes. Oh, thanks, Mona. Region 3, President Bob Ely.
Yes.
EC member Jenny Schnettler.
Yes.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Yes.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Yes.
Region 7 President Chris Olson.
Yes.
EC member Marcia Howes.
Yes.
Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Yes.
EC member Kendall Felder.
Yes.
Region 9 President Tracy Elkins. She's saying yes. Are you saying yes, Tracy? All right, thank you. Region 11 President John Hawley.
Notwithstanding my personal feelings, no.
EC member Jim Cock.
Yes.
Region 2 President Gary Russo.
No.
Region 5 Susan Bishop.
Yes.
Region 10 Florence Tremoni.
Oh, yes.
Region 8 Ed O'Connor.
Yes.
Region 1 Michael Junta.
No.
Region 12 Sean Bloom.
Yes.
EC member John Becker. Is John here with us?
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. My screen freezes every once in a while. I vote yes.
Okay, thank you. EC member Kathy Giese.
Yes.
So motion 2024-24 passes.
That's amended.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm gonna need Alan's help on this one. This is just a discussion now. So as your president, I like to try to see if we can address all the issues of the board, right? So one of the things I heard, I think we all heard very, very strongly is that there's an interest in recapturing the credit card fees that are being subsidized by headquarters and doing it quickly. And that will help grow our reserves and push out further a need for additional increases. So Alan, can you talk, or Lori talk about the timing for bringing that back to the board, about how to do that and when it could happen and what the impact would be for that, please?
Yeah, well, in the motion that y'all just approved, it said that we wouldn't do that till January 1st of 26. And that gives us time to make sure we're properly communicated with membership, plus any programming changes that need to be done on Lori's software. So Lori, I'll let you talk about the specifics of what you need to do in order to get the software ready to charge back the members.
Yeah, I mean, we need to do some coding within our join and renew forms, things of that nature. So it's going to take a little bit of time to work with our developers to make that happen.
And I think we will give an ACH electronic check option in there as well. So if you choose not, like if you I belong to 16 different local clubs. So between the $99 and the 16 local clubs, I probably pay $300 or $400 a year. I may not want to pay that $12, right? So I may use the ACH in order to forego that chargeback.
Yeah,
so
and
that
if I
as well.
Sorry, Alan, if I could just tag on there. So right now, y'all, when we launch York registration, ACH is going to be available there, electronic check, as well as it is available within Caravan Payments right now. So I said it feels like to me after John Hawley's comments is that we're going to need to educate the membership. We here at HQ, we do not hold any credit cards. We do not hold any checking fees, checking account information. That's by a third party that is PCI compliant. So electronic checks and ACH is a very common use of electronic funds. So again, we'll work on educating the members. It's actually less risky than your credit cards. So we'll work on that, but absolutely, it would be a huge savings around the board if we can get more folks on board with that.
So we'll move that way pretty fast. I haven't forgotten you two hands up. I also want to acknowledge John. I had another idea, which we started talking about, and that's to simplify the process. And one of the observations is that, if you're doing a caravan payment or a IR, the credit card fees are a lot. But if you're just renewing your membership, it could be that our members would be fine with just credit card. That might simplify it, allow us to roll it out faster. The other thing I've talked to some of you about is local clubs. I know a lot of local clubs are kind of wondering what to do about credit card fees. Some of you are taking action, some of you aren't. I'm hoping this discussion helps helps those discussions as well. And if there's some technologies that we have that can help that work out, we'll get those on to you guys as well. Okay, so I had Bob Ely and then Terry and then John Becker.
Yes, my question along these lines is to Alan or to Lori, where besides ACH are things like bill pay being advocated or publicized? There's a lot of people that use bill pay for a lot of different things through their bank. And in doing that, I don't disclose anything to anybody.
Sure, and people do use bill pay, Bob. So when that happens, we end up with a check in-house, and then we have to process that check.
Right,
so,
but there's no cost associated with that process, right?
Not on the banking side, but it is more labor intensive than electronic processing.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, it's kind of the same, if not maybe a little more expensive, because we don't handle checks like the old days, right? We just don't. So when we do get checks, I almost feel like they're kind of a speed bump in the road, right? Because we're used to electronics and moving things, and then it's like we get checks and it's like, and then things are a little bit different.
Okay.
Okay, and I see you, Terry and John. One other question I want you guys to clarify is impact for lifetime members, because that's something that y'all may or may not have thought about. So lifetime members are locked in at their rates. Well, there's zero for now, from when they locked in. So what we've typically seen in the past is a bump in lifetime member registrations in advance of a dues increase. Don't know if we'll see it or not, but I'm sure Lori and Al are prepared to adjust the lifetime. I think it's in your motion, but adjust
It's in the
lifetime.
motion. It's in the motion. Yeah, we'll adjust it. Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, Terry and then John.
So Lori, it seems to me, and I don't know the workings of your office, but it seems to me that there could be two rates. One, if you want to use your credit card, and one if you don't. That seems pretty straightforward. Does that have to be dealt with in software?
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
that?
Well, it's a little more complicated than just, yes, it is simple, but I'm not the tech person, but there's a lot of touch points, right? The forms within our data, and then it goes to the payment processing. So there's a lot of things that need to transpire there.
So are you saying that that'll take a year to do that?
No, but with this coming into our busiest time of year, we do not want to make any adjustments to our database. We're preparing over the next 3 months to process over 5,500 memberships. That doesn't include the new people. That's just renewals, right? Busiest time, we do not want to touch our database because there's always risk, right? When you're doing a development and pushing new things to the site. So after the big push, then we'll work with our developers to see what it's going to take to make these changes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
John?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly state for everybody on the call that Ray sent me a text, and he's the caravan committee chair. He's working with Marcia. He's fine with making sure the caravan participants pay the credit card charge. Bob, to your point, as a caravan leader, I get a number of payments through people's bill pay service. If they choose to use that, I get a paper check. It's no problem. It's no different than another check. And also with the new analysis that's been done, caravans incur more services from headquarters than their current contribution, which a part of the caravan fee goes to them. So Ray's working on, okay, what do? Do we just raise the caravan fee and then remit that to headquarters? But Terry, in principle, yes, people who use a credit card ought to pay for that privilege, but it's a matter of also working out the mechanics. As the caravan leader who manages the finances, I had 9 rigs cancel for the caravan I'm running right now. Out of 28 paying rigs, they get a cancellation fee, most of them, but then I need to give them a refund. So a lot of it, just Terry, is working out the mechanics of how does that work when we also are going to charge back for a credit card fee, or do we just get the net amount from Lori? So we are working on it, but in principle, yes, if you use a credit card, you ought to pay for that privilege. Ray has no problem with that as a principle. We're just working out how to implement it.
Thank you, John.
Since we need to close this up shortly, so a couple more questions. Lori, is your hand up, or is that a reserve?
Yeah, my hand is up, Eric. Thank you. And I don't mean, I just want to make you all aware that starting September 3rd is when we start collecting for 2025 dues. So we will start very quickly on a communication and letting our members know about these changes. And so obviously as the months move on, our processing gets more and more, but I think we got about 3,500 that are about 3,500 of our members are set up for auto renewal, which will happen in December, but we'll make them we try to make sure everybody is aware of what is happening very quickly, and we'll share that communication with y'all so you're aware of what's going out.
Thanks, Lori. And that addresses part of what Florence was saying, is that we understand that it's critically important that we explain to our members. And I think that this chart I shared some prototypes of where do your club dues go could be helpful. John and then Chris.
Real quick, thank you, Lori, for your explanation about the ACH situation, but it's going to take a lot of education for our members, as you said. And also, as you just pointed out, Eric, in other words, the dues increase for $24 for $99. We need to send out information to all our members about what are they getting for the $99. And I think we're on that track. I think a lot of that has been pointed out, but we need to let our members know. Also, one other thing, never mind. I wanted to uncomplicate the bank fees thing, but we can talk
later.
about it later.
Yeah, that gets a bit deep. So thanks, John. We got your comments. We're already working on it. So thank you.
Okay.
On that. Chris?
There we go.
There you
Okay,
go.
just real quick. In the Minnesota Airstream Club and now in Region 7, we charge people if they want to use PayPal to pay. And if they need a refund after they've already made a payment via PayPal, both the region and the Minnesota Club and the West Cup Club, by the way, do not refund the PayPal fee.
Right.
So that is a cost that the payee absorbs, not the club. Just throw that out there for thought.
Thanks. Okay, can I do one more, Florence?
My comment is not on this subject. On motion to change fiscal year that passed, Alan, will there be or can there be educational session with the region presidents who want to change their fiscal years so that we can trickle down to the local clubs on how to do that?
Yeah, yes. The answer is yes. I can do web education, Zooms, Teams, whatever. I also have a document put together that I'll send out to all y'all to conclusion to this call that talks about if your region or your club would like to change its fiscal year to be concurrent with the calendar year, then here's what you need to do. And it's got all the IRS forms, one IRS form you have to file, and how you would file for the 5/12 year and for the new calendar year and wind up your current fiscal year. So it's all laid out very clear. And I'll get that out to everybody, and I'm happy to supplement that with calls. Myself or Sean or Chris, any of the finance committee members can certainly do that. So.
Okay, and I also just wanted to acknowledge that a couple of you region presidents mentioned good comment that are we looking to the extent that we need to be at looking and getting our costs down to looking at contract negotiations, pruning expenses, haircuts here or there, and get that information to Alan if you have specific thoughts. I think as you saw through his presentation, he's really squeezed this one pretty tight already, but there still could be some things that we can save money on for sure. Last one, Jenny, and I got to move on.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question. So for the folks that are renewing their membership as starting on September 3rd, are they paying the new $99 amount? When does this start to go into effect?
Yeah, the motion actually described it as with the 2025 renewals. So if you're renewing September 3rd and that's your anniversary date, then you pay the $99. So yes, it starts with the renewals. We specifically didn't say January 1st, 25, because there are a number of people that actually pay their bills early. And if I set it for January 25, I wouldn't see, I had this pulled up, Eric, and I know you're going to kill me. Here's the renewal. Here's you had asked earlier, Terry, you had asked earlier. Here's the renewal schedule of how many members renew and when they renew for both members at large and general. So a large chunk of this 5,100 may pay their dues in November, and they're going to be paying the $99.
And of course, if you're life member, there's no change, of course.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Thank you, finance team. Thank you, board. Typically, I would schedule a break, but we're going to keep powering through this. If you have to take a break, just mute your button, turn your screen off, and come back. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to item 10.3, which is officer removal. And I think this is Florence who has the motion on this one, I believe. If you could please read your motion, Florence, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Eric. As stated in Exhibit 1, I move that WBCCI Bylaws Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 11, Resignations or Removal, Subsection 3, and Bylaws Article 9, Regions, Section 2, Subsection H4, be amended to align the removal process and declare reasons by which such removal may happen. Additionally, amend Bylaws Article 5, Disciplinary Procedures, Section 2, Subsection H, to allow for officer removal. I'm going to ask Eric how you want me to proceed.
Yes.
I'm aware.
You need a second on
first. Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second. Yes, I'll second.
All right. So what I want to do next is that I want you to talk about purpose, impact first, and background. And I know you've worked with some of your peers to come up with some proposed friendly amendments. Okay. But first go through purpose, impact, and background.
Okay. Yeah. Because there is an amendment that I'd like to get to. Purpose and impact. This motion outlines the process for removing an international officer, executive council member, or region officer from their position. It aligns these officers' removal process and procedures across the two applicable articles. The impact of this motion is to ensure that the removal process for international officers, executive council members, and region officers is initiated consistently and that the reasons for removal are the same. Background. Longer terms of office on the EC have increased the potential for the need for an officer to be removed. The current ethics and grievance process may be appropriate in situations where the removal of an international officer or executive council member is being considered. It is recognized that a similar process should be implemented to remove international officers or executive council members, as was recently adopted to remove a region officer from office. For either group, there are no stated reasons for removal. Financial impact, there is no financial impact to WBCCI.
Thanks, Florence. Now, if you could just share the proposed amendment language. By the way, I just have to thank, I know, Gary, you and your team are really heavily involved and you agreed to take some of this on working with Florence. So thank you much for that. So if you, Florence, kind of talk through the proposed friendly amendment, and then we'll go to voting.
Yeah, actually, Brad, are you supposed to be presenting this amendment?
That's what we talked about. So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and do that.
I would like
Mr.
you
President.
to do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Brad.
Sure. I move to amend the motion number 2024-25, procedure to remove international officers and executive council members in alignment with the procedure for region officers removal by, number 1, striking the language using the ethics and grievance process outlined in Article 5 and adding a period ending the sentence after IBT. In the proposed changes to bylaws, Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 11, resignations or removal, subsection 3. Subsection 3 reads, after this amendment will read as, any international officer or executive council member may be removed from office for cause by the IBT. The motion to remove an officer requires 2/3 vote of the IBT. The second change is adding the word code to the list of causes for removal in item number 1 after WBCCI. After amendment, the item number 1 would read violating WBCC Code of Ethics, Constitution, bylaws, or policy. The third change is striking the language using the ethics and grievance process outlined in Article 5 and adding a period ending the sentence after by the region board in proposed changes to bylaws Article 9, regions, Section 2, subsection 8, and subsection 5. After the amendment, subsection 5 reads, a region president or another region officer may be removed from office for cause by the region board. The motion to remove the officer requires a 2/3 vote of the region board. The fourth change on this amendment would be striking the amendment language to bylaws Article 5 in its entirety, which removes the proposed new item 3, adding an option for a member to be removed from office or elected position.
Do you accept this motion as friendly, Florence?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brad.
The explanation for this is the purpose of this amendment is because included language referencing the ethics and grievance procedure in 2 sections was confusing to members. The proposed language in the original led one to believe that the grievance could be filed to remove an officer. In fact, a WBCC leader cannot be grieved for their duty as an elected leader. And the word code was omitted by error in the list of cause for removal.
And can I just repeat what Brad said in layman's terms? Basically, what we wanted to do is make sure that an officer can't be removed for doing their job. The grievance has to be against a behavior, not because we don't like their decision on a motion or whatever.
Thanks. Gary, your team was heavily involved. You good with this? That was a yeah. Okay. Any comments you wanted to add to it or not? Or
no, we didn't have any issues with it. I mean, we've Florence and Brad and I, we dealt with this a lot, and I think we've got the verbiage down the way we want it.
Thanks for putting the time into that one. All right, so let's go around for
Excuse
questions.
me, Eric. Technically, Jenny needs to accept the amendment as well because it was a seconded motion.
As stated, that you were the seconder.
I accept and I second that as well.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Laurie. Okay, question time, Michael?
Just a clarification question, please, on the verbiage on within that section. It is section 4, disregarding the confidentiality of sensitive WBCCI information. Is that information marked as such that it is confidential?
I'm looking for either Florence or Brad.
I'm looking for where you're reading this. Sorry.
It would be in the cause, Florence. List of causes.
It is not marked as confidential.
Florence, if
You
I could,
guys-
I think what he's trying to say is if you were going to hold an officer's feet to the fire for divulging something that was supposed to be confidential, would the item have been marked previously as confidential? Is there some way? And normally, Michael, what we do is it's brought up in a meeting. The president will say, okay, we're going to keep this to us for a moment until we're done, that sort of thing. It's normally very well known that those things are not to be spoken of yet.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And that's part of, isn't it part of the how we deal with the ethics and grievance process?
Mike, you muted. Michael,
Michael,
you muted.
we missed that. It was probably good, but we missed it.
Oh, sorry. Millie, I appreciate your response. However, there's some vagueness there that I think could be disputed. If a document is marked confidential, then it's undisputable. That's all.
I'm sorry. First, before we get some other questions, Michael, you propose this as a friendly amendment to this, to something that says any specific text at all, or just an observation?
No, I think it's a friendly amendment, is to say that the document should be marked as such. That's all.
So before I just want to get a sense of Florence, Brad, where you are on that.
I can see Lori getting
Eric,
very
I think
agitated.
Lori needs to say something first.
Okay.
We did discuss this in the meetings that we had with Gary and his team. And I think that Michael's comment could easily be added at the end of number 4, allowing due process, disregarding the confidentiality of sensitive WBCCI information that is marked as such. If we just add those words, if that is approved.
Okay, so I understood that. Where'd you go, Michael? And then looking at Florence, is that something you would accept as a friendly amendment?
Can I hear Jim's comment before I do so?
Sure. We'll go to Jim and then Jenny.
All right. I agree with Michael's point completely. However, we discuss sensitive items. They are not necessarily printed matter. In those cases, our president often tells us in meetings, this is not for sharing. An example would be an ethics and grievance discussion, not the printed part, just for an example, but this isn't just about ethics and grievance. It's also about harvest host negotiations or other things. So we can't, I agree with Michael, but we can't cover the exigencies of verbal by doing that. And those are just as important, I think.
Okay, so Jim, we're trying to get this. I think we're close. Jim, if it said marked as or stated as confidential, would that address your concerns? I see nodding heads. Gary's nodding. Jim's nodded.
Yeah.
I think everyone nodded on this one. Okay, great. Lori Grassi, can you capture that? Because I think you have the best grasp on this at this point, you and Brad. Jenny and then Terry.
That's exactly what I was going to say, that so much is stated. So let's include stated or written. Thank you.
Carrie?
And the good part about that is that we record these meetings and we are going to record EC meetings. So anything will be recorded. So we can always refer back to whether it was indicated that it should not be shared.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go to see if you guys accept the amendment as stated without objection. I just want to make sure we understand. So we've got what Brad read. That was pretty clear in layman's language. Michael, your proposed amendment added the text. Lori, if you can read it as written or marked or spoken. Read that please again so we all know what it says.
Disregarding the confidentiality of sensitive WBCCI information is already there in the